Chapter 173. Your Highness, I'm afraid you won't be able to guess who he is. He is Ling Xiao, the useless Ling Xiao. He is also the disgrace of the Ling family. Ling Tianxi was the first to speak as he laughed coldly. What? Xia Hongxiu's expression changed. She could no longer maintain her indifferent expression. This name was like a nightmare in her heart. She tried her best to get rid of it. For this reason, she didn't hesitate to return from the Sun Moon Stars sect and personally come to the Demon King's residence. Now, this young man was standing in front of her, making her feel unreal. You are Ling Xiao. Xia Hongxiu looked straight at Ling Xiao. Her gaze was sharp. Of course, it's the real deal. Ling Xiao smiled. His smile was radiant, and his face was full of mischief. When he saw Xia Hongxiu come to the Demon King's residence in such a grand manner, he vaguely guessed Xia Hongxiu's intentions. Indeed, he still couldn't avoid it. Since he couldn't, he might as well face it. Very well. Xia Hongxiu took a deep breath. Her chest heaved up and down as she forcefully suppressed the shock in her heart. Her gaze became cold again. Since you are Ling Xiao, then I don't need to find the future Demon King. Return the marriage certificate to me, and we will be even from now on. Xia Hongxiu stared at Ling Xiao with clear eyes. Back then, because Ling Xiao and Xia Hongxiu were born in the same year, month, and year, Xia Huang and Ling Zhen set up a marriage contract for them. Furthermore, there were 2 copies of the marriage certificate. When the 2 of them were 16 years old, they could use the marriage certificate to become husband and wife. Xia Hongxiu wanted Ling Xiao to hand over the marriage certificate. Her intention was clear. What? She's really here to cancel the marriage? Everyone's eyes were filled with shock. They didn't expect Xia Hongxiu to make such a grand scene. She was really going to cancel the marriage with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao is really pitiful this time. Not only has his position as the Demon King been snatched away, even his future wife is going to abandon him. Someone laughed in schadenfreude and said in a low voice. She's actually here to cancel the marriage? This is definitely intolerable. If Ling Xiao can still tolerate such a huge humiliation, then he's not a man. So what if I can't tolerate it? He was a piece of trash, and the little princess was a direct disciple of the Sun Moon Star sect. The difference between the 2 of them was like heaven and earth. Could it be that he really wanted to eat the meat of a swan? I think he will definitely hand over the marriage certificate. Everyone shook their heads and whispered to each other. Xia Hongxiu's words caused an uproar in the entire martial arts practice field. Annul the engagement? The little princess has gone too far. Hearing Xia Hongxiu's words, Meng Ao's hair stood on end. His tiger-like eyes widened, burning with rage. Young lord and little princess's engagement was set by His Highness and His Majesty. The Emperor's promise is as important as Mount Tai. How can it be changed at will? If this engagement was cancelled, how would the young master face the world in the future? Does Xia Hongxiu have any respect for the prince? Meng Ao's fiery temper flared up, and he stood up in a flash. Tiger, don't get too excited. Lu Xiongfei jumped in fright and hurriedly pressed Meng Ao down. Laughing bitterly, he said, You look at young lord. He's not even angry yet. What are you angry for? Believe in young lord. He will definitely be able to resolve this matter. Old Xiong, you better be telling the truth. Otherwise, I will definitely rush into the Great Baron Hall and find His Majesty to settle this. Meng Ao glared at Lu Xiongfei with dissatisfaction and sat down. Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi both had mocking looks on their faces, as if they were waiting for a good show. Logically speaking, Ling Zhao's annulment of the engagement was a huge blow to the Ling family's reputation. The Ling family should be united against a common enemy. However, Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi had long stopped treating Ling Xiao as a member of the Ling family. Seeing Ling Xiao being humiliated like this, they secretly felt relieved. Everyone's gaze fell on Ling Xiao. They felt that Ling Xiao was going to explode in the next moment. Marriage certificate? What marriage certificate? Ling Xiao was slightly taken aback as he looked at Xia Hongxiu casually. Ling Xiao really hadn't seen the marriage contract between the two of them. When that cheap old man Ling Zhen left 3 years ago, he didn't give him the marriage contract at all. So even if Xia Hongxiu didn't say anything, Ling Xiao wouldn't marry Xia Hongxiu. Because the marriage certificate couldn't be found. Ling Xiao, you know. We don't belong to the same world. You and I, it's impossible. So, I will never marry you. Don't waste your time. As long as you give me the marriage certificate, I can ask my father to let you inherit the title of Demon Lord. Xia Hongxiu frowned and looked at Ling Xiao with disdain. Her face was full of arrogance. She thought that Ling Xiao didn't want to hand over the marriage certificate, so he didn't have it. Moreover, Ling Xiao gave her the feeling that he didn't have any cultivation at all. He was still that trash. If such a person still couldn't recognize himself and continued to have wishful thinking, he definitely wasn't a smart person. However, Xia Hongxiu's words made Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi's faces turn green. What? As long as Ling Xiao handed over the marriage certificate, Ling Xiao would inherit the title of Demon Lord. Then what about me, Ling Tianxi? Ling Tianxi was extremely unwilling, but he didn't dare to say anything to Xia Hongxiu. Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi looked at Ling Xiao worriedly, afraid that he would agree to return the marriage certificate to Xia Hongxiu. Hand over the marriage certificate and let me inherit the title of Demon Lord? Is this a deal? Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his eyes revealing a faint sharpness. If you understand it that way, it's fine too. Xia Hongxiu's voice was still very cold as she stood there waiting for Ling Xiao's answer. But I really don't have the marriage certificate. Ling Xiao's face was filled with innocence. Xia Hongxiu was finally a little impatient. Her eyes revealed a trace of coldness as she said, Demon Lord must have handed the marriage certificate to you before he disappeared 3 years ago. How can such an important thing be missing? Ling Xiao, I advise you not to waste your time. My patience is limited. Hand over the marriage certificate and be the Demon Lord properly. I will guarantee that you will have no worries for the rest of your life. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Ling Xiao's gaze also turned cold. Xia Hongxiu, firstly, I said that my father didn't give me the marriage certificate. So I can't give it to you. Secondly, I originally didn't want to marry you. I, Ling Xiao, have no interest in a spoiled princess like you. Even if you wanted to marry me, I wouldn't marry you. Thirdly, I realized that I have changed my mind. Even if I had the marriage certificate, I wouldn't be willing to return it to you. What right do you have to be so arrogant as to cancel the marriage certificate? What right do you have? Even if the marriage certificate is cancelled, Ling Xiao will be the one to divorce you and chase you out of the Ling family. Chapter 174. Ling Xiao stood there, his robe whiter than snow. His eyes were filled with youthful vigor and sharpness. His words made Xia Hongxiu's face change color instantly. Ling Xiao, how dare you? Xia Hongxiu's face was red. She pointed at Ling Xiao and said angrily, Ling Xiao, I'm advising you nicely. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. My father and the Demon Lord may have set a marriage agreement for us, but don't think that I must marry you. My husband must be a peerless genius who shines brightly and is the center of attention. Not a good-for-nothing like you who can't cultivate. That's right. Ling Xiao, you are a good-for-nothing who can't even cultivate. Her Royal Highness is a true disciple of the Sun Moon Star sect. You are a toad who wants to eat swan meat. Return the marriage agreement to Her Royal Highness. Ling Tianxi's eyes flashed as he laughed coldly. Ling Yunxiang also said indifferently, Ling Xiao, when Ling Zhen and the king set this marriage agreement, they didn't expect you to be unable to cultivate. If Ling Zhen was still here, he would definitely agree to cancel the marriage agreement. You and the princess are not from the same world. Return the marriage agreement to Her Royal Highness. Ha ha ha, Ling Xiao looked at Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi and laughed coldly. Who do you think you are? My marriage is not up to you to decide for me. On the spectator stand, Chen Weishan also smiled faintly and said, Ling Xiao, you clearly know that it's impossible for the princess to marry you. The princess's future husband must at least be a true disciple of the Sun-Moon-Star sect, a peerless genius. It's useless for you to keep the marriage agreement. Why don't you return the marriage agreement to Her Royal Highness? It's not good for anyone to fall out with her. Her Royal Highness has also agreed to ask the king to let you inherit the title of Demon Lord. Don't be so ungrateful. What right do you have to talk to me? Ling Xiao sneered and said, when my father was around, you were incomparably respectful, serving him like a father. My father also treated you like his own son, imparting martial arts to you and teaching you the art of war. If it wasn't for my father promoting you, you would still be a cowherd boy, right? But once my father left, you turned to the 9th prince's subordinate and even slandered my father. How can a slave of 3 surnames like you still have the face to come to my demon king's mansion? Are you worthy of my father? When the words slave of 3 surnames came out, Chen Weishan immediately flew into a rage. Little bastard, you're courting death. Chen Weishan's face was gloomy, and his eyes were filled with cold murderous intent as he glared at Ling Xiao. Slave of 3 surnames was his Achilles heel. Normally, those who dared to mention these 4 words were all tortured to death by him. Ling Xiao actually dared to call him a slave of 3 surnames in front of everyone. This made him feel even more humiliated than a few slaps. Chen Weishan, young lord said that you're a slave of 3 surnames. Could it be wrong? Let me tell you, if you dare to touch a single strand of young master's hair, I will slaughter both of your sons. Meng Ao could not hold it in any longer. He stood up and pointed at Chen Weishan with a cold smile. The atmosphere instantly turned cold. Everyone in the martial arts practice field had a strange look on their faces. They felt that today's matter was getting more and more complicated. As for those family heads who were neutral, they did not offend either side and looked as though they were watching a good show. Ling Xiao, is there any meaning in your words? If you're a man, then have a battle of life and death with me. If you lose, you'll die, and your engagement with Her Highness will naturally be annulled. If you win, you'll be the new Demon King, and you'll be able to wash away your trash name. Do you dare? Ling Tianxi pointed at Ling Xiao, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent. His heart was filled with anger, and he hated Ling Xiao to the extreme. He could not wait to slaughter Ling Xiao immediately. Moreover, he was afraid that Ling Xiao would give in to the pressure and agree to Xia Hongxiu's request, and hand over the marriage certificate. If that happened, would the position of Demon King really be given to Ling Xiao? This was something that he could not tolerate. Noisy! Ling Xiao shouted at Ling Tianxi as a sharp glint flashed across his eyes. Xia Hongxiu, you're right. We're indeed not from the same world. Ling Xiao said slowly, but you have to remember that it's not that I, Ling Xiao, am not worthy of you. It's that you're not worthy of me. Our lives are destined to never cross. You're destined to only be able to look up to me. After saying that, Ling Xiao did not care about the change in Xia Hongxiu's expression. He pointed at Ling Tianxi and said disdainfully, since you're so eager to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Get over here. Ling Xiao, you're the one who's looking for death. Don't blame me. Ling Tianxi could not hold it in any longer. Now that he saw Ling Xiao accepting the challenge, his eyes were filled with cruelty and bloodlust. He shouted and charged over. Boom! The powerful aura of a 9th stage dragon tiger realm exploded, and Ling Tianxi's body was covered in a black glow. In an instant, the sky changed color, and it was as though the void was covered by a black cloud. A mysterious shadow of a ghost appeared behind Ling Tianxi. He threw out a punch, and a black divine light swept towards Ling Xiao like a storm. The void trembled, and the firmament shook. A majestic divine power swept out, and it was as though it was going to devour Ling Xiao completely in the next moment. The crowd's faces even started to show signs of reluctance. Ling Tianxi's punch was unpredictable, and his fist aura was vast. It was as though he had communicated with the power of a ghost, and it made some of the strong fighters in the Grandmaster realm look serious. Faced with this punch, even a strong fighter in the Grandmaster realm would not be able to take it so easily. Ling Xiao was just an ordinary person. He would probably be blasted into nothingness by this punch, right? Xia Hongxiu frowned. She also felt the murderous intent in Ling Tianxi's punch. She wanted to stop him, but when she thought of Ling Xiao's presumptuous words, she hesitated. In this moment of hesitation, the vast fist radiance arrived in front of Ling Xiao. If I say you're looking for death, then you're really looking for death. Ling Xiao said word by word, and his eyes instantly exploded with a dazzling radiance. Roar! A clear dragon's roar resounded through the firmament. Ling Xiao's clothes were whiter than snow, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. An aura that made the heavens and earth tremble emanated from his body. Strands of golden divine light shrouded his entire body. At this moment, Ling Xiao looked like a peerless divine king who had descended into the mortal world. Boom! He also threw out a simple punch. Boundless divine light gushed out, and in that endless light, the fist aura turned into a huge golden dragon, charging through the air. Crack! The blazing divine light exploded, like a small sun exploding. In that instant, the heavens and earth went silent, and the crowd could not see anything clearly. Ah! A blood-curdling scream was heard. In the divine light storm, Ling Tianxi's arm exploded into a bloody mist, and a few of his ribs were broken. He flew out and landed heavily on the ground. No one knew if he was dead or alive. In the golden divine light, Ling Xiao's expression was extremely calm, and his eyes were even brighter than the stars. There was an otherworldly aura, and he exuded a peerless demeanor. Everyone was stunned. Xia Hongxiu was also stunned. Chapter 175. The martial arts practice field was dead silent. Everyone looked as if they had seen a ghost, unable to believe their own eyes. Ling Xiao. Didn't he have no cultivation at all? Someone said with a bitter expression. His eyes were filled with shock. This scene was like a dream. It was as if a beggar had suddenly become an emperor. It was hard for people to accept. Everyone thought that Ling Xiao had no cultivation at all. Just like 3 years ago, he was still the useless Ling Xiao who couldn't cultivate. However, the scene of Ling Xiao suppressing Ling Tianxi with his peerless sharpness had shocked everyone. In the martial arts practice field, everyone stood up and looked at the young man in the middle. I knew it, ha 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 ha. I knew that young master was the best. What peerless genius Ling Tianxi. He's just trash in front of young master. Meng Ao was so emotional that his face was red. He laughed loudly and slapped Lu Xiongfei's shoulder. Lu Xiongfei glanced at him and said, "Who was the one who was worried just now? Tiger, are you satisfied now?" "Of course. I'm really satisfied. Ha ha ha. Young master's punch was so fucking exciting. Even my blood was boiling." If His Highness saw this scene, he would be extremely gratified. Meng Ao nodded repeatedly, his eyes filled with excitement. Chen Weishan, the 9th prince, and the rest's faces changed. Originally, they thought that there was no suspense in this battle. Ling Xiao would definitely be killed by Ling Tianxi's punch. But they didn't expect such a dramatic scene to occur. Their eyes were about to pop out, and their expressions were very interesting. But everyone's shock couldn't be compared to the little princess Xia Hongxiu. At this moment, Xia Hongxiu's face was filled with disbelief. This. How is this possible? How is this possible? She was about to go crazy. The feeling that Ling Xiao gave her previously was that he didn't have any cultivation at all. But that punch just now had completely shocked her. The words that she had just said were still vivid in her mind. But at this moment, it was like a huge slap on her face. So, we are indeed from different worlds. Xia Hongxiu's face was incomparably pale, and her entire body was trembling. She bit her lips tightly and stared at Ling Xiao. She didn't even realize that her lips were bleeding. Ling Tianxi's furious attack just now was already comparable to a Zhongshe realm expert. However, such strength was actually unable to withstand a single blow from Ling Xiao. He was heavily injured by a single punch from Ling Xiao, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. Didn't that mean that Ling Xiao's cultivation was far beyond the Grandmaster realm? Xia Hongxiu took a closer look, and her eyes widened instantly. You're only at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm? Xia Hongxiu started to speak incoherently. The shock in her eyes was even more intense than before. What? When the crowd heard Xia Hongxiu's words, they all looked over and their eyes immediately widened. At this moment, Ling Xiao's body was shrouded in golden light. His gaze was indifferent, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His white robes were whiter than snow. His entire being was like a young divine king who had walked out of a legend, perfect and flawless. However, at this moment, he didn't conceal his cultivation at all. His cultivation of the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm was completely displayed in front of everyone. Oh my god, 3 years ago, he was still a piece of trash who couldn't cultivate. In just a year's time, he broke through 4 major realms from the channel opening stage to the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm. How is this still considered a genius? This is simply a peerless demon. That's right. A first level of the Dragon Tiger realm can suppress a 9th level of the Dragon Tiger realm with such strength. This shows that his foundation is extremely solid. Could it be that he has completely inherited the peerless talent of the Demon Lord? I think so. So we were all blind in the past. Ling Xiao is the true peerless genius of the Demon Lord's residence. Compared to Ling Xiao, that Ling Tianxi is really nothing. The crowd was in an uproar. Each of them was overwhelmed with emotions, and their eyes were filled with excitement. They had witnessed the rise of a peerless genius. Each of them felt as if they were in a dream, and they couldn't believe their eyes. However, they all knew that from today onwards, Ling Xiao would completely shake the great wilderness ancient country. First level of the Dragon Tiger realm? So you've hidden your strength so well. 3 years ago, you only went to a small sect. I'm getting more and more curious. What kind of sect and experience could give birth to a demon like you? On the stone steps, Ling Qingqing's beautiful eyes were filled with excitement. Her gaze fell on Ling Xiao, and it was filled with shock and curiosity. She muttered to herself, and her peerless face smiled gently. Instantly, the world lost its color. Ling Xiao, you're courting death. An old voice that was suppressing his anger rang out, and it instantly covered everyone's discussion. On the stone steps, Ling Yunxiang stood in the air. His entire body was shrouded in a black glow, and his black robe fluttered in the wind. His aura was unfathomable, and a peerless killing intent locked onto Ling Xiao. He recovered from his shock, and his eyes instantly revealed a look of shock and anger. Torrential anger and blazing killing intent landed on Ling Xiao's body like a sword radiance. He was completely enraged. How could this little bastard be so strong? From a young man without any cultivation, he had cultivated to the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm in only 3 years. Furthermore, he had suppressed Ling Tianxi in 1 move. At this moment, Ling Tianxi was lying on the ground, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. This made Ling Yunxiang completely crazy. No matter what, he had to kill this little bastard today. Ling Yunxiang finally knew why the underworld had not killed Ling Xiao all this time. It was not that they did not want to kill him, but that they could not kill him. The bad premonition in his heart was finally confirmed. It turned out that the root of all this was still Ling Xiao. Old dog, you finally can't hold back anymore, can you? Remember, the next time you find someone from the underworld to kill me, it's best to find someone with a higher cultivation. Don't send any random cat or dog to die. Ling Xiao sneered, and dozens of silver tokens appeared in his hand. He casually threw them on the ground, and they made a crisp sound. It's really the assassin tokens from the underworld? So what Ling Xiao said was true. Someone with sharp eyes saw that the tokens that Ling Xiao threw out were all from the underworld's silver token assassins. Instantly, everyone revealed a look of understanding. This was the best proof. It turned out that Ling Yunxiang had really hired assassins from the underworld to kill Ling Xiao. At this moment, when they recalled Ling Yunxiang's hypocritical words, everyone's face revealed a trace of disdain. Ling Xiao, you're dead meat. Today, no one can save you. Pay with your life for Tianxi's. Ling Yunxiang roared, and his eyes were filled with crazy killing intent. Instantly, he rushed down from the high platform and slammed his palm down on Ling Xiao. Chapter 176. Ling Yunxiang, you're courting death. Meng Ao could no longer sit still. A cold light flashed in his eyes, and a violent energy burst out from his body. The sky piercer in his hand shone with a sharp light as he slashed toward Ling Yunxiang. Meng Ao was also at level 9 of the Grandmaster realm. However, Meng Ao was a peerless warrior. His body exuded an endless killing aura, which was the cultivation and strength that he had honed from mountains of corpses and seas of blood. When the sky piercer fell, it was like a bright pillar that pierced through the sky. It contained a terrifying power that made one's scalp tingle. Bang! Ling Yunxiang slapped the sky piercer, and a blast of air exploded. He felt a terrifying force surging toward him. His entire arm instantly went numb, and his face turned pale. He flew back dozens of feet in the air. Meng Ao, this is an internal matter of the Ling family. How dare you interfere? Ling Yunxiang roared, and his face was extremely ugly. Old man, fuck you. If you dare to attack the young master, you're disrespecting the Royal Highness. I'm going to beat you, old dog. Meng Ao stood in the air with the sky piercer in his hand. His aura was extremely violent, and his hair and beard were flying. His eyes exuded an unruly sharpness. He glanced at Ling Yunxiang with a sneer and cursed at him. Meng Ao, since you dare to interfere with the Ling family's business, you should be prepared to die. Everyone of the Ling family, form the Lingyun sword formation and take down Ling Xiao. Elders, follow me to kill Meng Ao. Ling Yunxiang flew into a rage. His face turned red as he roared. His eyes revealed an incomparably fierce killing intent. Everyone, today is an internal matter of the Ling family. Ling Xiao has offended his superiors, and he deserves to die. I hope everyone will give the Ling family some face and not interfere. The Ling family will reward you generously. Ling Yunxiang looked at everyone and said slowly. He was determined to kill Ling Xiao today, and no one could stop him. Yes. Everyone of the Ling family was stunned. Although some of them were unwilling, Ling Yunxiang was the first elder of the Ling family. No one dared to disobey him. Whoosh! Whoosh! Instantly, dozens of disciples dressed in black jumped out. They were all at least in the Dragon Tiger tier. Their eyes were sharp, and the sword in their hands intertwined. Their feet moved in a mysterious manner, and they surrounded Ling Xiao in the middle of the training ground. The four elders sitting around Ling Yunxiang with their eyes closed sighed deeply at this moment and slowly opened their eyes. Immediately, the ancient aura dissipated, and a powerful and unfathomable energy fluctuation spread out. The four elders stood in the air, standing on both sides of Ling Yunxiang. Their auras locked onto Meng Ao. Although only those in the celestial being realm could fly in the air, those in the 8th or 9th level of the supreme power realm could also fly in the air for a short time and transform the power of heaven and earth for their own use. The 5 pinnacle grandmaster powerhouses locked onto Meng Ao. Meng Ao's eyes were filled with seriousness. A great battle was about to break out. Ling Yunxiang, I think you're the one who's seeking death. I want to see who dares to touch a hair of young lords today. Lu Xiongfei also rose into the air and stood side by side with Meng Ao. His eyes revealed an extremely cold look. He slowly drew out an ancient sword, and suddenly his whole body exuded an unparalleled aura. His cultivation in the 8th level of the Supreme Power Realm was fully revealed. Hee, do you want to compete in numbers? Old Dog Ling, I've long known that you're famous for being shameless. Today, you want to bully others with numbers? I think you've got the wrong idea. Meng Ao glanced at Ling Yunxiang, and his eyes were full of sneer and disdain. Then, he roared, "Where's the Huban camp?" Rumble. As if there were thousands of soldiers and horses rumbling, the earth trembled, and the void trembled. A fierce and monstrous aura spread out. From outside the training ground, a torrent rushed in, emitting fluctuations that made people's hearts tremble. Roar! 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 It was a group of powerful soldiers in full black armor. They were tall and straight, and their auras were cold. Their eyes were indifferent and sharp. The most important thing was that their mounts were tiger beasts that were more than 10 feet tall. Their fur was pure black and shiny, and their limbs were reaching the sky. They opened their bloody mouths, and their eyes flashed with bloodthirsty and cold light. Greetings to the commander. Their voices were like thunder, shaking the sky. The soldiers of the Huban camp bowed at the same time. They looked at Meng Ao, who was in the void, and their eyes were filled with incomparable fanaticism. The 300 Huban camp soldiers were at least experts in the spirit transformation realm. This flood of steel poured into the training field. That ferocious and indescribable aura instantly caused everyone's expression to change. 300 Huban camp soldiers. They're the elites of the Imperial Army. It's said that the 300 Huban camp soldiers are at least in the spirit transformation realm, and their mounts are all tiger beasts above the 3rd level. Everyone's aura is connected. If they charge, they can resist an army of 100,000. If the 300 Huban camp soldiers charge, the Ling family won't be able to stop them. I didn't expect Tiger Meng to be prepared. Everyone's eyes were filled with fear when they saw the 300 ferocious soldiers. Ling Yunxiang's expression instantly became very ugly. Meng Ao, you dare to mobilize the Huban camp? This is simply deceiving the king, and it's the same as rebelling. Aren't you afraid that the king will kill your 9 generations? Ling Yunxiang roared. He seemed to be strong in appearance but weak in heart. He couldn't help but be afraid of the 300 Huban camp soldiers. If they charge, the Ling family might all die today. Meng Ao sneered and said, "Old Dog Ling, I don't know if the king will take my head, but I know that you won't live to see that day. If you dare to touch the young master today, I'll wash the Ling family with blood and leave no one alive." Meng Ao's words suddenly made the Ling family members' expressions change greatly. The determination and coldness in Meng Ao's voice made everyone shudder. He was willing to do anything for Ling Xiao. "Great Elder, why don't you let Ling Xiao go? He is still a member of the Ling family. He will definitely let us go." Feeling the cold aura that was about to explode, an elder couldn't withstand the pressure and looked at Ling Yunxiang with a bitter smile. "Yes, Great Elder. Brother Tianxi didn't die, but he was seriously injured. Please let Ling Xiao go. Great Elder, let Ling Xiao go." Everyone in the Ling family finally chose to give in. They looked at Ling Yunxiang in the air and showed a pleading expression. Under the pressure of Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei, under the pressure of the 300 Huban camp soldiers, they were finally afraid. Ling Yunxiang's face was extremely pale, and he seemed to have aged many years in an instant. He knew that if he continued to persist like this, he would probably be betrayed by everyone. However, he was unwilling to accept this. Especially when he saw the center of the martial arts practice field, Ling Xiao's eyes were indifferent. His white robe fluttered as if he was the center of the world, extraordinary and otherworldly. Chapter 177. Ninth Prince, Great General, Meng Ao secretly mobilized the Huban camp and committed a heinous crime. Please uphold justice for the Ling family. Ling Yunxiang turned to the 9th Prince and Chen Weishan with a pleading look. Elder Ling, this is an internal matter of the Ling family. It's not my place to interfere. Great Commander Meng secretly mobilized the Huban camp. Whether he committed a crime or not, it's not up to me to decide. Xia Yunran said with a faint smile, completely removing himself from the matter. What a joke. The Ling family was now a whirlpool. Before the situation was clear, the 9th prince naturally couldn't involve himself. Furthermore, Ling Shao, a peerless genius, had piqued the 9th prince's interest. He was far more valuable than Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi, that trash. That's right. Elder Ling, I can't interfere in this matter. However, I will report today's matter to the king. The king will definitely punish Meng Ao severely. Chen Weishan and the 9th prince were in agreement. Their voices had a faint sense of alienation and they looked at Ling Yunxiang with a fake smile. When the other clan leaders met Ling Yunxiang's gaze, they hurriedly avoided it, especially the few who had flattered Ling Yunxiang the most. At this moment, they all lowered their heads very low. No one was willing to meddle in other people's business. Let him go. Ling Yunxiang's gaze instantly became miserable. He waved his hand weakly and looked even older. These 3 words were practically spat out from the gaps of his teeth. It could be seen how unwilling he was in his heart. However, no matter how unwilling he was, what could he do? Ling Yunxiang's gaze towards Ling Shao was filled with cold murderous intent. If looks could kill, Ling Yunxiang would have already turned Ling Shao into ashes. His hatred for Ling Shao had reached the extreme. Everyone in the Ling family also heaved a sigh of relief. They put away their weapons and retreated, looking at Ling Shao with reverence. Uncle Lu, Uncle Meng, many thanks. Ling Shao looked at Lu Xiongfei and Meng Ao in the air and smiled. These 2 people were able to stand up at such a crucial moment, especially Meng Ao, who was loyal to the Demon Lord and didn't hesitate to mobilize the Huban camp. Ling Zhao's heart was filled with respect. However, it's not up to you today. You are willing to let me go, but I won't let you go. Old dog Ling, come out and die. A cold light flashed in Ling Zhao's eyes as he pointed at Ling Yunxiang and shouted. What? Everyone was shocked. Ling Shao actually wanted to challenge Ling Yunxiang. Ling Yunxiang was not Ling Tianxi. Ling Yunxiang's cultivation had reached level 9 of the Grandmaster realm. Even in the entire royal capital, he was a famous expert. Although Ling Shao was extremely talented and could suppress Ling Tianxi in one move, it did not mean that he could challenge Ling Tianxi. As expected of a young man. Once he achieved something, he would forget himself. Someone shook his head and sighed. You. Ling Yunxiang's gaze turned cold. He was about to explode from anger. He had already let go of Ling Shao, but he did not expect that Ling Shao would still challenge him. Could it be that this brat really thought he had the ability to challenge him? Young lord, where there's life, there's hope. With your aptitude, you'll be able to enter the Grandmaster realm in a few years. By then, killing this old dog will be a piece of cake. Don't be impulsive. Lu Xiongfei was shocked and hurriedly said. That's right. Young lord, although this old man isn't a good person, he's very strong. Even I don't have the confidence to take him down. Don't be too impulsive. Meng Ao also advised, but he was slightly disappointed. The young lord was very talented, but he was a little carried away. After all, he was only at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm. Challenging Ling Yunxiang, who was at the 9th level of the Grandmaster realm, was simply courting death. Ling Shao was indeed a young man. Uncle Lu, Uncle Meng, you don't have to worry about this. Old dog Ling has harmed me again and again. I must kill him today. He's dead meat today. Ling Zhao's eyes revealed a faint sharpness. They were calm and deep. He took a step forward, walked in front of Ling Tianxi, and stepped on Ling Tianxi's chest. What are you doing, you little bastard? Let go of Tianxi. Ling Yunxiang was shocked, and his eyes revealed a trace of shock and anger. He was afraid that Ling Shao would kill Ling Tianxi. Ling Yunxiang, ask yourself, if my father wasn't the demon lord and obtained a large amount of cultivation resources for you, would you have the status you have today? Ling Xiao's eyes were clear, and there was a sense of passion in his voice. But after my father disappeared, you wanted to support your grandson to the position of the demon lord. Not only did you send me to the Changsun sect, but you also secretly harmed me time and time again. How can a heartless thing like you still have the face to call yourself the great elder of the Ling clan? Today, we'll settle the old and new grudges. Old dog Ling, come down and accept your death. I'll personally send you on your way. Ling Yunxiang was so angry that he laughed and said, ha ha ha. Good, good, good. Little bastard, since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Boom. A powerful aura spread out in a mighty manner. Ling Yunxiang descended from the void step by step, his eyes revealing an incomparably blazing killing intent. Ling Xiao was courting death and wanted to challenge him. This was exactly what Ling Yunxiang wanted. So he decided that he must crush Ling Xiao's bones and scatter his ashes to vent the hatred in his heart. What is he doing? He wants to challenge Ling Yunxiang. At this moment, Xia Hongxiu, who was originally stunned on the spot, also came to her senses. Her eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. Meng Ao's body moved, and he was about to rush down with the sky piercer in his hand, but he was pulled back by Lu Xiongfei instantly. Tiger, young master isn't a reckless person. Since he dares to challenge Ling Yunxiang, he must have a certain degree of confidence. Let's wait and see. If young master can't beat him, it won't be too late for us to make a move then. Meng Ao thought for a moment, and finally stopped and did not make a move. But his aura condensed, and his gaze landed on Ling Yunxiang and Ling Xiao. It was as if he would instantly make a move as long as something went wrong. Ling Xiao looked at Ling Yunxiang, and his eyes revealed a trace of unparalleled battle intent. He wanted to see where the limit of his combat power was. The unprecedented 10th layer of the complete realm, in addition to the sky-devouring secret skill and the ancestral dragon secret skill, as well as Ling Xiao's 7 limits divine technique of devouring heaven and destroying earth. Although Ling Xiao was only at the first layer of the dragon tiger realm, it gave him the qualifications to challenge Ling Yunxiang. He wanted to kill Ling Yunxiang in a fair and square manner. He wanted to use this battle to elevate himself to a higher level, allowing him to break through to the next realm. The wind between heaven and earth stopped. The atmosphere seemed to have frozen, and an oppressive aura spread between heaven and earth, making people feel breathless. As if it was the prelude to a storm, everyone couldn't help but hold their breaths. This is the aura, it's too similar. Who is he? In the golden carriage, the moon goddess was shrouded in a dazzling radiance. Her face was peerless and otherworldly. Her brows were slightly knitted, and there was a faint brilliance in her eyes. She seemed to have caught a kind of aura, and her beautiful eyes looked at Ling Xiao through the curtain with a trace of curiosity. Chapter 178. Ling Xiao stood in the middle of the training field with a faint glow in his eyes. Although Ling Yunxiang looked very old, his body had an aura that was as deep as the sea, unfathomable. Furthermore, Ling Xiao also felt a vague yet familiar fluctuation from Ling Yunxiang's body. This is the aura of an assassin from the underworld. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. When he looked carefully, he realized that the aura had disappeared. If not for Ling Xiao's powerful mental strength, he would not have noticed the fluctuation on Ling Yunxiang's body. Could it be that Ling Yunxiang is also an assassin from the underworld? Ling Xiao's body trembled, and his eyes sharpened. If that was the case, it meant that Ling Yunxiang had an unclear relationship with the underworld. It also proved why Ling Yunxiang could easily find an assassin from the underworld. Ling Yunxiang's eyes were filled with a cold and cruel murderous intent. He did not know where Ling Xiao got his confidence from to challenge him. However, Ling Yunxiang knew that Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm. No matter how monstrous his talent was, he would definitely die in the end. A cold aura filled the air, and a murderous intent appeared in the training field. However, at this moment, an old laugh suddenly rang out. It was deep and clear, and everyone could not help but feel refreshed. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect the Ling family to be so lively today. Elder Ling, I came uninvited. I hope you don't blame me. In the distance, a group of figures with powerful auras strolled over. Each of them had a cold and indifferent expression on their faces. He Qing was dressed in a black robe. His aura surged, and he walked over with a majestic gait. There was a faint smile on his face, but it was very cold. It made people's hearts tremble. Behind him, with Shi Tianluo as the leader, were more than 10 dignified disciples of the Wanshou sect. The men were very handsome, and the women were very beautiful. However, their expressions were very arrogant as they looked at the crowd. So it's Elder He. We didn't come out to greet you. I hope Elder He won't blame us. Ling Yunxiang's gaze moved away from Ling Xiao. When he saw He Qing and the others, he was instantly shocked, and a bright smile appeared on his face. When the people from the Wanshou sect had come to the capital city, Ling Yunxiang had also paid them a visit, so he had met He Qing once. When the crowd saw the people from the Wanshou sect, they were all shocked. The Wanshou sect was a famous martial holy land in the entire Eight Desolates region. It was on par with the Sun and Moon Star sect. All of its disciples were martial Dao geniuses. The Wanshou sect had a high status, even the royal family of the wasteland treated them with respect. Today, they actually came to the Ling family to congratulate them. When did the Ling family have such great prestige? Greetings, Elder Crane. Greetings, Elder Crane. On the stone steps, led by the 9th Prince Xia Yunran, Chen Weishan, and the other clan heads did not dare to be negligent. They all cupped their fists and bowed. Everyone, there's no need to be so courteous. The reason I'm here today is because I have a personal matter to settle. Of course, I would also like to invite all of you to be my witnesses. He Qing smiled faintly and raised his hand into the air. Instantly, a vast amount of energy surged forth. Everyone could not help but stand up straight. Everyone's heart trembled. Was this the power of a heaven realm cultivator? In the face of such a vast amount of energy, even a master realm cultivator would not be able to resist. He Qing's display of power immediately caused a deep sense of respect in everyone's hearts. Oh. Elder Crane, I wonder what business you have with the Ling family. As long as you say it, the Ling family will definitely do it for you. Ling Yunxiang's face was full of flattery, and his spirit was greatly lifted. If he could hold on to He Qing's thigh, then what was Ling Xiao to him? At that time, if he wanted to kill Ling Xiao, Meng Ao would not dare to stop him. Even the royal family of the wasteland region did not dare to offend the Wanshou sect. Whoever dared to meddle in other people's business was simply courting death. Ling Yunxiang seemed to have seen the hope of revenge. He could not help but feel excited. Elder Ling, 3 days ago, a disciple of the Wanshou sect died in Qinghua City. I came to the Ling family today to ask Elder Ling to help me find the culprit. He Qing said faintly. His old eyes seemed to be shining as he slowly scanned the surroundings. Finally, he paused slightly on Ling Xiao. What? A disciple of the Wanshou sect was killed. He Qing's words were like a sudden clap of thunder, instantly causing everyone to be extremely shocked. A disciple of the Wanshou sect, in terms of status, was more honorable than a prince of the wasteland ancient kingdom. How could he be killed? Moreover, from what He Qing said, it seemed like he already had a lead on the murderer. Who would have the guts to kill a disciple of the Wanshou sect? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed, and the corners of his mouth curled into a smile. He knew that the news of him killing Shi Wuxin had probably been exposed. After all, a few days had passed. No matter how slow the Wanshou sect was, they would definitely have found out that it was him. However, Ren Tianxing and his daughter, as well as the people from the Sky Escort Agency, had already left Qinghua City, so Ling Xiao had nothing to worry about. What? Someone actually dared to kill a disciple of the Wanshou sect. Who exactly is it? It's a heinous crime. Ling Yunxiang's face was filled with shock as he spoke with righteous indignation. I believe that Elder Ling must be very familiar with the murderer because he is from the Ling family. His name is Ling Shao. He Qing said calmly. Finally, his gaze suddenly fell on Ling Shao. His gaze was majestic and mysterious, as though he wanted to see through Ling Xiao's heart. What? This news was like a clap of thunder in the void. Everyone was instantly stunned. Everyone's eyes were instantly focused on Ling Shao. Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at LV1 of the Dragon Tiger realm. How could he kill a disciple of the Wanshou sect? However, when everyone recalled that Ling Shao had just severely injured Ling Tianxi, who was at LV9 of the Dragon Tiger realm, they fell silent. Ling Shao really had the ability to kill. However, to He Qing's disappointment, Ling Shao was not intimidated by his gaze. He was still extremely calm and indifferent. Ling Shao, the person you killed 3 days ago in Qinghua City was called Shi Wuxin. He was my younger brother. Today, I will make you pay for my brother's life. Shi Tianluo walked out. His gaze, which was as cold as a blade, fell on Ling Shao, containing a trace of undisguised killing intent. The powerful cultivation of LV6 of the Grandmaster realm erupted from his body, causing the entire martial arts practice field to tremble. He is Shi Tianluo. I heard that he is a true disciple of the Wanshou sect, one of the 7 disciples of the Wanshou sect. He is extremely talented. I didn't expect him to have such a terrifying cultivation. Someone could not help but exclaim when he recognized Shi Tianluo's identity. He is Shi Tianluo. Look at his age, he is not even 30 years old, right? He is not even 30 years old, but he has already reached LV6 of the Grandmaster realm. He is indeed a monster. Ling Shao actually dared to kill his younger brother. Is he really not afraid of death? Ling Shao is dead this time. That's right. If he offends the Ling family, he still has Meng Ao to support him. However, if he offends the Wanshou sect, he will definitely die. No one can save him. What a pity. Ling Xiao's talent is not bad, but why did he offend the Wanshou sect? The crowd whispered and looked at Ling Shao with a trace of sympathy. Chapter 179. Who is Shi Wuxin? I've never heard of this name before. Even if you're from the Wanshou sect, you can't just pin a crime on others, right? Ling Shao laughed coldly. Of course, he wouldn't admit that he killed Shi Wuxin. Anyway, Shi Wuxin had already been burned to ashes by him. Dead men tell no tales, and he wasn't afraid that the Wanshou sect would find any evidence. Ling Shao, I knew you'd deny it. Shi Tianluo laughed coldly. He looked behind him and said, bring him here. The disciples of the Wanshou sect brought a very tall and sturdy man. He looked very miserable at the moment, his body was covered with many scars, his face was very pale, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. When he saw Ling Shao, his face was filled with shame. He knelt down with a thud. Young Master Ling, I've let you down. You saved the entire Sky Escort Agency. You're our savior. Even if I, old Zhang, am willing to sacrifice my life, I won't be able to repay your kindness. When they came to capture me, I already made up my mind. Even if I die, I won't betray you. But young Master Ling, they used my 90-year-old mother and my 3-year-old son to threaten me. If I didn't come forward to identify you, they would kill my whole family. Young Master Ling, I've let you down. The burly man was sobbing as he kowtowed to Ling Shao. His forehead was stained with blood, and his eyes were filled with pain. Ling Shao knew this burly man. He was one of the escorts in the Sky Escort Agency. His name was Zhang Kai, and he used to chat, drink, and eat with Ling Shao. He was a very forthright man. When Ling Shao saw him, his gaze turned cold. He looked at Shi Tianluo with murderous intent. How could he not see that Zhang Kai had been tortured? He was covered in wounds, and his cultivation was almost crippled. The Wan Shou sect really deserved to die. Cut the crap. Tell me everything that happened 3 days ago, word for word. As long as you say it, as long as you testify against Ling Shao, I promise I won't touch a single hair on your family. Otherwise, you know the consequences. Shi Tianluo kicked Zhang Kai. His eyes were filled with cold disgust. Puff. Zhang Kai spat out another mouthful of blood as he was kicked several feet away by Skyfall Snake. His eyes were filled with humiliation and anger. Old Zhang, just say it. I won't blame you. Ling Shao took a deep breath and said. This man made of iron refused to say anything even after being tortured. However, his parents, wife, and children were being threatened. That kind of painful look on his face made Ling Shao quite moved. Let old Zhang go. If you have any problems, come at me. Ling Shao stared at Shi Tianluo with a sharp glint in his eyes. There was a cold murderous intent in his eyes. Let him go. Who do you think you are? How dare you order me around? Shi Tianluo sneered. He stared at Ling Shao and said, do you know pain now? You should have known this day would come when you killed my brother. If you want to save him, then kneel down and kowtow to me. Otherwise, he will definitely die. Shi Tianluo stepped on Zhang Kai's face, and a cold murderous intent locked onto Zhang Kai. He stared at Zhang Kai with a mocking gaze. No. Young Master Ling, I've let you down. I deserve to die. Zhang Kai's face was filled with pain. Tears of blood flowed down his face and dyed the ground red. It was a ghastly sight. Shi Tianluo, I will definitely kill you. Ling Shao growled, and the coldness in his eyes became even more intense. He had never wanted to kill someone as badly as he did at this moment. Shi Tianluo had crossed his bottom line, and in Ling Zhao's heart, he was already on the must-kill list. Everyone looked at Zhang Kai with pity in their eyes. At the same time, there was a kind of anger in their hearts. Killing someone was just a matter of nodding his head. Why did he have to humiliate him like this? Did this group of people from the Wan Shou sect really think that they were high and mighty gods? Ling Shao, there is a limit to my patience. If you don't kneel down, I'm afraid that I might accidentally use some force and crush this guy's head. You have to think carefully. Do you really want him to die? Shi Tianluo said sinisterly. His heart was filled with an inexplicable pleasure. He enjoyed this kind of torturing the most, especially when he saw Ling Shao in pain, anger, and helplessness. It gave him a kind of sick enjoyment. Ling Shao clenched his fists tightly. The murderous intent in his eyes was almost tangible. He stared at Shi Tianluo, and a strong aura emanated from his body. No. Young Master Ling, don't. Zhang Kai's face was filled with shame and pain. Veins popped out all over his body, and his fingernails dug into the ground. He was in extreme pain. Suddenly, Zhang Kai seemed to have made a difficult decision. He glanced at Ling Shao and said, Young Master Ling, I've let you down. You can't kneel down to this bastard. Old Zhang, I've let you down. I'll be a cow or a horse in my next life and repay your great kindness. Boom. A strong aura exploded from Zhang Kai's body as if he was burning his life force. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood, and his eyes dimmed instantly. Zhang Kai forced a smile at Ling Shao. There was a hint of relief and longing in his eyes, and he completely stopped breathing. Even Shi Tianluo didn't notice that Zhang Kai was already prepared to die. He decisively severed his own heart meridian, and even he couldn't stop it in time. You're asking for death. Shi Tianluo was furious. A terrifying force exploded from his feet, and Zhang Kai's corpse instantly exploded into a bloody mist. Zhang Kai's death seemed to have made him feel the greatest humiliation. Only this could vent the hatred in his heart. Ling Zhao's eyes instantly became bloodshot. Shi Tianluo, I'm going to kill you. Ling Xiao let out a loud roar and went completely berserk. Boom! A terrifying aura exploded from Ling Xiao's body. Golden divine light filled the air, and it was as if a sun had exploded, shaking the heavens and earth. Ling Xiao walked out from the divine light, exuding a peerless aura. The murderous intent in his eyes seemed to have materialized. His entire body was surging with vitality, and it shot straight into the clouds. A strong wave of energy gathered in his fist. Crack! Accompanied by golden lightning, Ling Xiao flew across the sky and punched towards Shi Tianluo. Ling Xiao was completely enraged. There was only Shi Tianluo in his eyes now. He only wanted Shi Tianluo to die. Once he thought of Zhang Kai's eyes before he died, Ling Xiao was so angry that he wanted to go crazy. Good timing. Ling Xiao, you killed my brother. Today, you'll pay with your life for him. Chapter 180. Boom! The void shook as heaven and earth roared. Everyone felt their ears buzzing as their blood and qi surged. Airwaves swept out in all directions as heaven and earth seemed to have turned into a sea of divine light. In the sky, a black divine light collided with a golden figure. Kacha! The divine light was like lightning as it pierced through the sky. In the middle of the terrifying battlefield, the two figures flew back at an even faster speed. Ling Xiao stepped on the golden clouds as his black hair fluttered. The light in his eyes was like a sharp sword as it pierced through the sky. With his cultivation at the first level of the dragon-tiger realm, he forcefully stopped in mid-air. He was like a cub of a divine beast as he emitted an aura that made heaven and earth tremble. This punch was actually evenly matched. As for Shi Tianluo, his eyes were filled with astonishment. Ling Xiao was only at the first level of the dragon-tiger realm, but he was evenly matched with him. Moreover, the violent aura emitted from Ling Xiao's body made his arms numb. The violent physical strength was not something a human could possess. It was like a powerful Archean ferocious beast. His blood and qi were so strong that it made heaven and earth change color. King Kong descends, demon-slaying fist. Kill! 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 Ling Xiao spat out the word kill 3 times in a row. His eyes were burning with murderous intent, containing a monstrous fury. At this moment, he did not stop at all and charged towards Sky Snake descent. Rumble! Behind Ling Xiao, a golden ocean exploded. Chaotic mist filled the air, and a peerless figure stood tall between heaven and earth. Divine light surged, and a fist blasted forward. Like an Archean divine mountain, it made heaven and earth change color and dimmed the sun and moon. It emitted a peerless force that could shatter heaven and earth. Ling Xiao unleashed his secret skill of the ancestral dragon. His aura increased by 2 times, like a volcano that could incinerate the heavens and destroy the earth, erupting. What? Shi Tianluo's expression changed. He did not expect Ling Xiao's strength to skyrocket again. He emitted a wave that made his scalp tingle. Heavenly Snake King Fist, devour the heavens and sun. Shi Tianluo roared as well. His eyes were filled with killing intent. As one of the 10,000 beasts' 7 scions, he naturally had the pride of a peerless genius. Therefore, no matter how strong Ling Xiao was, he still had his own pride. The Heavenly Serpent King Fist was a peerless earth-class martial art of the Wanshou sect. It contained the power of the ancient Heavenly Serpent, and it was extremely terrifying. Rumble! Black lightning filled the air, and endless black light surged behind Shi Skyfall. It was as if a huge heavenly snake had appeared. Its blood-red eyes flickered, and it emitted a ferocious light that overflowed into the heavens. Vajra subduing Devil Fist vs Heavenly Snake King Fist. Ling Xiao even unleashed his Dragon Berserk mystical ability. His physical strength caused heaven and earth to tremble as he collided with Sky Descending Snake. Boom! 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 Ling Xiao and Shi Skyfall's figures seemed to have transformed into rays of light that filled the sky. They constantly collided in the void, erupting with waves that made one's blood boil. Everyone could only see that above the void, the golden figure and the black heavenly snake were colliding and fighting, emitting a destructive aura. Silence. The entire martial arts practice field was dead silent. Everyone's eyes were filled with disbelief, and they were completely stunned. Even if Ling Xiao had defeated Ling Tianxi with a single punch, even if Ling Xiao had displayed exceptional talent, even if they had overestimated Ling Xiao's strength. However, they still realized that Ling Xiao's strength was far beyond their imagination. A level 1 Dragon Tiger Realm martial artist is on par with a level 6 Grandmaster. Oh my god, what's wrong with this world? Am I dreaming? How can Ling Xiao be so strong? That's Shi Skyfall, one of the 7 disciples of the Wanshou sect. He's a peerless genius of the Wanshou sect. How can Ling Xiao have such terrifying combat strength? So he's really confident. What's Ling Tianxi to him? I suspect that even if Ling Yunxiang were to attack, he would be suppressed by Ling Xiao. So we were wrong. Ling Xiao is the peerless genius. His talent is simply unprecedented. Could it be that a young king is about to rise? This is crazy. After a short moment of dead silence, the entire martial arts practice field was in an uproar. Young master. Young master is actually so abnormal. Oh my god, that's Shi Skyfall. Even I might not be a match for him. Young master is too fucking fierce. Meng Ao's eyes were wide open, and his eyes were filled with surprise and joy. He was so excited that his face was flushed. I didn't expect it either. Young master is really too abnormal. Lu Xiongfei also laughed bitterly. A few months ago at the Changsun sect, although he knew that Ling Xiao was extremely talented, talent did not represent strength. Now, the strength that Ling Xiao displayed had become so terrifying. A level 1 Dragon Tiger Realm martial artist is actually on par with Shi Skyfall in terms of physical strength? Could it be that this brat is a demon king in human form? Ling Qingqing's eyes were also wide open. Ling Xiao had given her too many surprises today, one after another. Until now, she had almost been smashed into a daze. As for Ling Yunxiang, his face was filled with disbelief, and there was even a hint of fear. How can this little bastard be so strong? It's impossible. He's just a piece of trash. How can he have such powerful combat strength? Ling Yunxiang gritted his teeth, and his eyes were red. At the same time, he recalled Ling Xiao's words. With such terrifying combat strength, Ling Tianxi's talent was a joke in front of Ling Xiao. No wonder he dared to return to the Ling family alone. Unknowingly, he already had the strength to look down on the entire Ling family. However, everyone's shock added together could not compare to Xia Hongxiu's. Xia Hongxiu stared at the two figures clashing in the sky, and her pretty face was completely pale. Ling Zhao's words kept replaying in her mind. She recalled Ling Zhao's calm tone when he said that they were not from the same world. That's right, they were not from the same world. It's just that I, Xia Hongxiu, am not worthy of him. It's not that Ling Xiao is not worthy of me. Xia Hongxiu's body trembled, and her mouth was filled with bitterness. At this moment, when she recalled her willful and arrogant words, it was like a loud slap to her face. What exactly did he go through in 3 years to become like this? Xia Hongxiu could not help but think. She could not help but raise her head to look at that peerless youth. However, at the same time, she felt empty in her heart, as if she had lost something extremely precious. Chapter 181. Rumble. The void shook and divine light surged like an ocean. Waves after waves of terrifying waves swept out in all directions. The collision between Ling Xiao and Shi Skyfall was like the collision of two ancient sacred mountains. Their vital energy and blood were like furnaces, emitting an aura that made one's heart tremble. Although Ling Zhao's cultivation was only at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm, his physical body was invincible. He activated the secret skill of the ancestral dragon and released the violent dragon's superpower. The vital energy and blood in his body were like an ocean. Every punch was like a star in the sky, containing peerless power. On the other hand, Skyfall was covered in black light. He was cold and evil. There seemed to be a huge heavenly snake behind him, providing him with endless power. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes were cold. His body was surrounded by strands of golden light. His vital energy and blood rose, and a huge fist radiance fell from the sky. Bang! Ling Xiao and Skyfall clashed with their physical strength. There was a slight explosion in the void. Ling Xiao did not move, but Skyfall was sent flying dozens of feet by his fist. However, Skyfall's body seemed to be dancing in the wind as it twisted back at an unimaginable angle. His body tensed up like a bowstring as he gathered a vast amount of divine energy and attacked at an even faster speed. Boom! Ling Xiao's fist radiance was unparalleled. It was like a huge rotating star, emitting a vast and ancient aura. The fist intent was strong and masculine, as if it was going to cleanse the world of all evil. Ling Xiao's fist landed on Skyfall's arm and forced him back. At the same time, he leaped forward and stomped on the ground. Like a heavenly pillar, a dazzling golden light burst out from under Ling Xiao's feet as he stomped on Skyfall's face. You're courting death. Skyfall's face turned cold. A strange sound wave burst out from his mouth. Black light surged behind him as he opened his bloody mouth to devour Ling Xiao. Hiss! As if the heavenly snake was going to devour the world, the chilling hiss sent chills down everyone's spine. A huge heavenly snake, hundreds of feet long, leaped into the sky and swallowed Ling Xiao. A little snake dares to show off. Ling Xiao sneered. The divine light under his feet instantly blazed. Tens of thousands of rays of golden light burst out, intertwining with each other as they charged straight at Sky Snake. At the same time, traces of 5-colored flames appeared in Ling Xiao's palm. They flowed with a strange light and suddenly shot towards the heavenly snake seal. Rumble! Ling Xiao's body was so tiny compared to Sky Snake's, but when that peerless power exploded, Sky Snake was actually sent flying by Ling Xiao's kick. Wang! Ling Xiao was like a golden lightning. His speed was extremely fast. His palm imprinted on the Sky Snake, and the 5-colored flame instantly exploded. This was the true devouring flame. It contained the power of life and death of the 5 elements. It was undying and indestructible. It could burn the heavens and destroy the earth. It was extremely terrifying. The heavenly snake was merely a manifestation of the martial Tao concept of the heavenly snake descent. Naturally, it could not withstand the burning of the 5-colored flames. It instantly turned into a sea of fire. Rumble! Strands of golden lightning crisscrossed the sea of fire. The heavenly snake churned intensely as if it had a life of its own. It let out an intense roar. What? Sky Snake Descent's expression changed. This heavenly snake was formed by the fist intent of the heavenly snake King Fist. It resonated with the heavens and earth, nurtured spirituality, and exploded with unparalleled divine power. However, it was actually destroyed by a small flame from Ling Xiao. How was this possible? However, Ling Xiao did not give Sky Snake Descent the chance to be shocked. Boundless divine light filled the sky, and peerless golden light surrounded his body. Ling Xiao was like a young divine king. His body was covered in multicolored light, and his feet stepped on the blazing sun as he punched out. This punch was the pinnacle of Ling Xiao's physical strength. It was the complete explosion of the Vajra fist intent. It was formed by Ling Xiao's murderous intent and anger. This punch shocked the heavens and earth and made ghosts and gods weep. Rumble! The moment Shi Tianluo saw Ling Xiao's cold eyes, a vast amount of fist intent burst forth. Kacha! In the sky, streaks of divine light crisscrossed like lightning. The wind and clouds changed color, and the void trembled. Faintly, a chaotic aura filled the air. That blazing divine light storm turned everyone's vision into a vast expanse of white. They were instantly blinded. After the storm dissipated, everyone looked over. Their hearts were filled with incomparable shock. Just who won and who lost? In the sky, Ling Xiao's body was surrounded by golden light. His white robes were peerless, and his black hair fluttered. He stood in the air like a young divine king, untainted by even a speck of dust. On the other hand, Sky Snake Descent's figure was sent flying dozens of feet by Ling Xiao. He landed directly on the ground from the void. Boom! 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 Sky Snake Descent's footsteps landed on the martial arts arena. Every step he took left a few clear footprints on the ground, using the ground to disperse that unparalleled divine power. Sky Snake Descent retreated more than 10 steps before he could stabilize himself. How is this possible? How can he have such a freakish physical body? Sky Snake Descent's heart seemed to have been set off by huge waves. His eyes were filled with disbelief. His arm was trembling, and a trace of bright red blood seeped out. His organs were shaking, and his blood was surging. Ling Xiao's punch just now was too terrifying. Sky Snake Descent felt as if he was not facing a human, but a peerless divine beast that had just awakened from the primordial era. If he had not used all his strength and even burned a portion of his blood essence, he would not have been able to withstand Ling Xiao's punch. However, in the end, he was still completely defeated in terms of physical strength. How can Ling Xiao be so strong? Even senior brother Snake is no match for him. The disciples of the Wan Shou sect were also stunned. Sky Snake Descent, whom they usually regarded as a god, was actually at a disadvantage. This completely overturned their understanding. Ling Xiao seems to be born with divine power, and he has cultivated an extremely powerful body-refining martial art. That's why senior brother Snake is at a disadvantage. That's right. In terms of true strength, senior brother Snake is far superior to Ling Xiao. Did you see that? Senior brother Snake is furious. Ling Xiao is finished this time. The disciples of the Wan Shou sect convinced themselves. They forcefully suppressed the uneasiness and shock in their hearts, and their faces returned to their cold and indifferent expressions. As for He Qing, he was even more shocked than the disciples of the Wan Shou sect. This was because he felt an extremely familiar aura from Ling Xiao's body. The body-refining martial art that Ling Xiao cultivated contained a dragon's roar and emitted a dragon's might. It was extremely similar to a peerless martial art of the Wan Shou sect. Who exactly is Ling Xiao? Later, we must capture him and torture him to find out his secrets. Elder He Qing's gaze became deep and cold, and a faint dangerous aura spread out. Very well, Ling Xiao. You've completely angered me. I admit that your physical strength is indeed very strong, but you must know that the reason why a grandmaster is called a grandmaster and why he can suppress a dragon tiger realm martial artist is not something you can imagine. Sky Snake Descent's gaze was extremely cold, and his entire body was filled with killing intent. A terrifying energy gradually spread out. In the void, the color of the sky changed, and the wind and clouds surged. Endless clouds trembled, and a black divine light shot high up into the sky as if it was going to cover the sky. This terrifying wave of energy caused everyone's expression to change drastically. A martial art that draws upon the power of heaven and earth? This is a heaven-class martial art. Chapter 182. Martial arts techniques were divided into Yellow Class, Black Class, Earth Class, Heaven Class, and Sovereign Class. Sovereign Class martial arts were legendary martial arts techniques that were almost impossible to see. Anyone who could obtain a Sovereign Class martial art would become a peerless expert and dominate the world. Heaven Class martial arts were the highest martial arts techniques that everyone could imagine. However, Heaven-class martial arts were extremely rare even in the holy land of the martial arts. Normally, only the true disciples and elders of the sects could cultivate them. In the entire Grand Baron ancient country, only the imperial family of the Grand Baron had heaven-class martial arts and the Demon Lord's triple-kill demon-suppressing blade. Heaven-class martial arts were techniques that could lead one to the noble realm. They contained the will of heaven and earth and were extremely powerful. They had the power to destroy the world. That was why everyone was so shocked when they saw Shi Tianluo use heaven-class martial arts. Roar! A loud roar resounded through the sky. It was like the sound of a heavenly drum. It contained a strange sound wave that caused everyone's hearts to tremble. Shi Tianluo's body slowly floated up. Endless black divine light surged and his body seemed to be enveloped by blazing black lightning. A huge snake head peeked out from behind him. The snake head was like a small mountain and its eyes were like blood moons. It was filled with a murderous aura. It contained a violent killing intent as it stared at Ling Xiao. The endless light in the surroundings seemed to be swallowed by the snake head. Darkness covered the sky and a terrifying aura spread out. Ling Xiao, your physical body is indeed strong. However, I would like to see how you can withstand my Sky Serpent true skill. Die! Shi Tianluo's eyes were cold like a venomous snake. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he charged towards Ling Xiao at an extremely fast speed. Black divine light surged and the huge snake head seemed to have merged with Shi Tianluo. The wind raged and the black storm swept in all directions and engulfed Ling Xiao. It's the Sky Serpent true skill. Ha ha ha, Ling Xiao is dead for sure. That's right. The Sky Serpent true skill is one of the 7 sky skills of the Wanshou sect. It contains the power to swallow the world. Ling Xiao will definitely be swallowed. Once the sky snake appears, who can contend against it? The disciples of the Wanshou sect were all extremely excited. Feeling this terrifying aura, everyone's expression changed. This was not something that Ling Tianxi, who only had half a cultivation base, could compare with. Although Ling Tianxi had also cultivated the heaven-class martial art, the triple-kill demon blade, Ling Tianxi had only scratched the surface. He could not even use 1% of the true strength of the triple-kill demon blade. As for Shi Tianluo, he had obtained the inheritance of the true heavenly serpent technique. He represented the strongest among the younger generation of the myriad beasts sect's heavenly serpent branch. Ling Xiao's gaze turned solemn as well. He could sense that Shi Tianluo's Sky Serpent true technique had already been cultivated to the initial stage. That primordial aura already contained some true intent. Although Shi Skyfall was only at LV6 of the Supreme Power Realm, he had the combat strength to kill a LV9 Supreme Power Realm expert once he used the Sky Snake true skill. Unfortunately, his opponent was Ling Xiao. True Sky Serpent technique? Let's see if your true Sky Serpent technique or my 4 elephants hitting the sky is stronger. Ling Xiao growled, the sharpness in his eyes exploding to the maximum at this moment. Boom! 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 4 divine lights, yellow, black, green, and red, shot up from Ling Xiao's body into the sky. In an instant, the sky trembled as a peerless sharpness erupted. The heaven and earth energy rose, the black ocean was boundless, the green wind raged from the 9 heavens, and the red flames enveloped the entire world. This was the power of the 4 elephants' divine light. It contained Ling Xiao's comprehension of the laws of heaven and earth, and it contained a peerless combat strength that surpassed the limit. What? Ling Xiao is also using a heaven-class martial art. This is not the triple-kill demon blade. How can he know a heaven-class martial art? Everyone was in an uproar as their eyes were filled with disbelief. In the entire Great Baron ancient kingdom, only the Great Baron imperial family and the demon lord knew of heaven-class martial arts. What Ling Xiao was using now was actually the 3rd heaven-class martial art. Instantly, many people's eyes were filled with greed. This was a heaven-class martial art. If they could obtain it, even if they could not establish a country, it would be the peerless foundation of a 1,000-year-old family. However, the cold aura that Ling Xiao exuded woke many people up in an instant. Ling Xiao was not someone to be trifled with. Those who were not in the sky realm would definitely die if they went up against Ling Xiao. Rumble. Ling Xiao was enveloped by the four elephants' divine light, and the power of the four heavenly phenomenon faintly permeated his body. Finally, it gathered into a terrifying killing force that suppressed Shi Skyfall. Ling Xiao's gaze was extremely sharp. At this moment, he had used all his trump cards. Heaven-devouring secret skill. Ancestral dragon secret skill. Dragon rage super ability. For elephant's sky-striking style. That killing force, which contained Ling Xiao's conviction to kill Shi Tianluo, came crashing over fiercely. Rumble. Heaven and earth trembled. The sturdy rocks on the martial arts practice field were instantly turned into dust under the surging divine light. Sand and stones flew as the divine light swept in all directions. The sky snake was roaring, and the divine light was whistling, blocking everyone's vision. No one could see clearly what was happening in the center of the battlefield. Moreover, such a terrifying battle attracted the attention of countless people in the royal capital. They all looked in the direction of the Demon King's mansion. Could it be that two sky beings are fighting? Someone exclaimed. His eyes were filled with shock, and he felt his heart pounding. In the Demon King's mansion, everyone, including the people on the stone steps, retreated. Their eyes were filled with fear. There were even some weaker cultivators who were affected by the aftermath. Their organs were injured, and they spat out a mouthful of blood. Who won? Everyone's eyes were filled with doubt. They stared at the center of the battlefield, eager to know the result of this battle. Rumble. A stream of light fell from the sky and smashed into the ground like a star. Immediately, a human-shaped crater appeared on the ground. Cough cough, violent coughs could be heard. The figure in the crater struggled to stand up, revealing a crazed and twisted face. It was Shi Skyfall. Shi Skyfall was defeated. The scene was dead silent. Everyone was stunned, as if they were in a dream. Shi Skyfall, a true disciple of the Thousand Beasts sect and one of the Thousand Beasts' 7 disciples, who possessed the sky-level martial art, true sky snake technique, was defeated by Ling Xiao. Everyone felt as if something in their hearts had been broken. At this moment, they did not even have the time to think. They just stared blankly at everything before them. Rumble. Above the void, the golden divine light dissipated. Ling Xiao's snow-white robe was spotless as he slowly descended. However, at this moment, Ling Xiao's face was extremely pale. There was also a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. Chapter 183. After all, Ling Xiao's cultivation was only at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm. Although the four elephants' sky-striking style contained an unparalleled killing power, Shi Skyfall wasn't weak either. The Sky Snake true skill posed a great threat to Ling Xiao. Although Ling Xiao defeated Shi Skyfall in the end, he couldn't help but be injured. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. A piercing voice was heard as Shi Skyfall roared crazily. He looked extremely pathetic. His clothes were torn, and his entire body was dyed red with blood. He coughed up blood as he screamed crazily. How can I lose? I'm the invincible Shi Skyfall. My Sky Snake true skill is the strongest martial art in the world. Go to hell, go to hell. Shi Skyfall glared at Ling Xiao viciously. His eyes were filled with killing intent as he pounced on Ling Xiao. He was knocked off his pedestal in this battle and suffered a great blow. He couldn't take it anymore. All he could think of was to kill Ling Xiao. He must kill Ling Xiao. Scram! Ling Xiao's gaze turned cold as he slapped Shi Skyfall. Smack! Shi Skyfall's face swelled instantly. He was sent flying dozens of feet away by Ling Xiao. His teeth flew out, mixed with blood, and landed heavily on the ground. The martial arts practice field was dead silent. Qing Qing, Xia Yunran, Chen Weishan, and the rest could no longer maintain their calm. They were all dumbfounded. As for Ling Yunxiang, there was even a tinge of fear in his eyes. Ling Xiao's strength was far beyond his expectations. That invincible figure was like a nightmare that was deeply imprinted in his heart. He couldn't help but tremble. Oh my God, young lord is too strong. Meng Ao slapped himself hard to make sure that he wasn't dreaming. Then, he suddenly grinned and laughed. As for Xia Hongxiu, she was already stunned. Her shoulders were trembling, and her delicate face was pale. Other than shock, there was also endless bitterness. The young man in front of her had proven his strength time and time again, giving Xia Hongxiu a resounding slap. At the same time, Xia Hongxiu's eyes were filled with worry. No matter how heaven-defying Ling Xiao was, the Myriad Beasts sect still had Elder He Qing, who was a veteran heaven-tier powerhouse. Would Ling Xiao be able to defy the heavens again? However, Xia Hongxiu clearly saw the trace of blood at the corner of Ling Xiao's mouth. He was also injured, which meant that he also had his limits. After a brief moment of shock, the Wanshou sect's disciples' eyes were filled with rage. Elder Crane, kill this brat. Ling Xiao is too arrogant. He actually injured senior brother Snake. I hope Elder Crane can take action and exterminate this little bastard. Elder He Qing took a deep breath and suppressed the shock in his heart. His eyes became extremely cold as a terrifying killing intent spread out. Boom! Just as Ling Xiao was about to attack and kill Shi Tianluo, a cold killing intent locked onto him. Without thinking, Ling Xiao used the Cloud Dragon 9 transformation technique and dodged instantly. Boom! A gigantic black palm print missed its target and ruthlessly imprinted itself on the ground, creating a deep crater in the ground. What? The young one has lost, and the old one is finally prepared to be shameless? Ling Xiao looked coldly at He Qing. He Qing was the one who had attacked just now. Little bastard, I didn't expect that I would be so wrong. With your talent, even among the Myriad Beasts' 7 scions, you can be ranked in the top 3. He Qing took a step forward in the air. His eyes were deep and there was a cold killing intent in them. He reached out and grabbed Shi Tianluo, who had been knocked unconscious by Ling Xiao, and threw him to the Myriad Beasts sect disciples. The Myriad Beasts sect disciples hurriedly caught Shi Tianluo and fed him a healing elixir, looking after him carefully. However, of all the things you should not have done, you should not have offended the Myriad Beasts sect. If you had surrendered just now, perhaps I would have left your corpse intact. But now, not only you, but everyone related to you will die. He Qing's voice was like thunder, filled with a heavenly might that exploded between heaven and earth. At the same time, a terrifying aura that swept through heaven and earth spread out. He Qing's celestial realm cultivation instantly exploded, causing everyone's hearts to tremble. This was a celestial realm powerhouse. They were one with the heavens, reflecting the heavens, and using their own strength to mobilize the power of heaven and earth. It was boundless and immeasurable. If Shi Tianluo's true sky serpent technique was comparable to a peerless general with unparalleled combat strength, then He Qing was a god, using the power of heaven. There was a limit to human strength, but the power of heaven and earth was limitless. The difference between a grandmaster and a celestial realm powerhouse was much greater than the difference between a dragon tiger and a grandmaster. It was like the difference between heaven and earth. Therefore, even if Ling Xiao defeated Shi Tianluo, in front of He Qing, no one thought that he had any chance. Ling Xiao's gaze instantly turned cold. He stared at He Qing without the slightest fear in his eyes. The Myriad Beasts sect is really domineering. I'm standing right here. I'd like to see how you're going to kill me today. Ling Xiao's voice was clear, and his eyes were like torches as he stared at He Qing. At the same time, there seemed to be a mysterious light flowing into the ground beneath Ling Xiao's feet. It was very weak and did not attract anyone's attention. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with madness. If He Qing really dared to attack, he would make He Qing pay an unimaginable price even if he was seriously injured. Elder He, can you give me some face and let this matter rest for now? After all, senior brother, she only suffered some injuries. It's not a big deal. A cold voice was heard. She actually wanted to plead for Ling Xiao. When the crowd saw the person who spoke, they instantly had a strange expression on their faces. Because that person was actually Xia Hongxiu. Xia Hongxiu was dressed in crimson armor. Her body was slender and perfect with exquisite curves. Although she looked very pale, her eyes revealed a hint of pleading as she looked at elder He Qing. Princess Hongxiu. You want to plead for him? Have you forgotten who was the one who humiliated you just now? He Qing's gaze was also a little strange. He knew a little about what happened just now. Xia Hongxiu wanted to cancel the engagement with Ling Xiao, but she was severely humiliated by Ling Xiao. Logically speaking, Xia Hongxiu should be the one who should not be pleading for Ling Xiao. Why did she stand up for him? Xia Hongxiu looked at Ling Xiao and said slowly, I don't regret coming to the Ling family today to cancel the engagement. It's not that I think Ling Xiao is useless. It's just that I don't want to tie my life to a stranger. I, Xia Hongxiu, have to decide my own marriage. Although my method may have hurt Ling Xiao, I don't regret it. Because today is my only chance. Elder He, I beg you to let Ling Xiao go. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He had a higher opinion of Xia Hongxiu. Although this young girl was arrogant and did things to the extreme without leaving any leeway, in the end, her heart wasn't bad. No, I can't agree to this. Chapter 184. Xia Hongxiu's face was pale and her body trembled. Her eyes were filled with bitterness. However, she seemed to have thought of something. She looked deeply at Ling Xiao and turned to walk towards the carriage behind her. Boy, are you going to surrender or wait for me to take action? He Qing looked at Ling Xiao coldly. His eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. Instantly, Ling Xiao felt that the surrounding air seemed to have solidified. The entire area was filled with He Qing's aura. It was vast and majestic and it wanted to force Ling Xiao to kneel down. Old man, if you want to fight, just do it. Why are you talking so much nonsense? Ling Xiao sneered. His body was straight and his eyes were as sharp as a sword. He quickly activated the Devouring Heaven's secret skill and devoured the spiritual crystals in the longevity ring to heal his injuries and restore his cultivation. At the same time, there were streaks of five-colored light flowing under Ling Xiao's feet. They merged into the depths of the earth and were almost undetectable. Ling Xiao stood there casually. However, he was accumulating power and there was a hint of madness in his eyes. Little bastard, you're courting death. He Qing's face turned cold and he slammed his palm down on Ling Xiao. Boom! Heaven and earth roared and mist rose. The palm was like an ancient sacred mountain pressing down on Ling Xiao. It contained an invincible force. The sharpness in Ling Xiao's eyes rose to the maximum in an instant. Old man, if you want to touch the young master, you'll have to get through me first. A loud roar was heard and a heavenly halberd slashed down from the sky. It contained an extremely violent aura and it was like a dragon flying across the sky. It was unstoppable. Meng Ao's eyes were filled with determination. His black hair flew in the wind and his golden chainmail shone brightly. He was like an invincible god of war and his fighting spirit was surging. Meng Ao's heavenly halberd blocked He Qing's palm and there was a burst of divine light fluctuation. Boom! The void shook violently and it swept out in all directions. You're courting death. He Qing's face turned cold. He did not expect that a mere level 9 grandmaster would dare to stand up for Ling Xiao. Divine force gushed out from his palm and his palm print was like a mountain. It slammed heavily on the heavenly halberd. Unparalleled divine power erupted, and the halberd blossomed with a resplendent radiance. Meng Ao was directly sent flying by He Qing's palm strike by several tens of feet. PFFF, Meng Ao's face flushed red, and he suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. His aura immediately weakened. As expected of the heaven tier, he's not someone I can match. Meng Ao sighed softly, but the determination in his eyes grew stronger. Tiger, are you alright? Let's fight it out with him. Lu Xiongfei also hurriedly supported Meng Ao. His eyes revealed a trace of worry as he angrily said. Lao Xiong, I'll hold this old bastard back. You take young master and leave first. Meng Ao's eyes were filled with determination as he spoke. No, if we die together. The two of us will stall He Qing together and buy more time for young lord. Lu Xiongfei also gritted his teeth, and a trace of determination appeared in his eyes. Meng Ao took a deep look at Lu Xiongfei and laughed out loud. Alright, old bear. The last time we fought side by side was 5 years ago when we followed His Highness to exterminate the bandits of the Blackwater stronghold, right? Today, let us brothers work together again. However, this old bastard is not simple. Are you afraid? Lu Xiongfei laughed and actually swore, which was rare for him. Why should I be afraid of him? If he wants to touch young lord, even if I can't beat him, I'll still bite off a piece of his flesh. He Qing in front of them was not someone who had just entered the heaven tier, but a veteran in the heaven tier. His combat strength was unparalleled, and Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei simply had no chance. Even so, they still chose to attack because they wanted to create a chance for Ling Xiao to escape. Young lord, hurry up and leave. We'll stall this old bastard. Meng Ao's voice rang in Ling Xiao's ears with a hint of urgency. Boom! Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei looked at each other and attacked at the same time. The sky halberd flew across the sky, and a black murderous aura lingered in it, making it look like a black dragon, crossing the 9 heavens and breaking through the air. A rapid sonic boom sounded, accompanied by a monstrous sharpness. Meng Ao was like a peerless warrior from ancient times, raising the sky halberd high and slashing down at He Qing. Lu Xiongfei, on the other hand, pulled out the long sword behind his back. The sword vibrated and released hundreds of millions of sword rays, bright and sharp. The long sword in his hand gathered the power of heaven and earth, turning into a huge light sword that was hundreds of feet long, traversing the void. Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei were peerless warriors who had followed Demon Lord Jinyao to conquer the world. Their combat strength was monstrous, and they were even stronger than warriors of the same level. When they attacked, the sharpness had reached the peak of the Master Realm. Ants will always be ants. Since you're so anxious to die, I'll fulfill your wish. He Qing stood in the air, his robe fluttering, and his eyes were cold and indifferent. When he saw Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei attacking at the same time, a hint of disdain appeared at the corner of his mouth. His hand formed a fist seal, and a sharp sound came from his mouth. Screech! The clear sound pierced through gold and cracked stone, reaching high into the clouds. He Qing's body was incomparably light, like a red-crowned crane soaring in the air. His hand formed a fist seal, and his attack was slow and clumsy, striking the void in the air. Behind him, a huge red-crowned crane seemed to appear in the void. The sharp beak of the crane emitted a sharp light, and it lightly pecked at Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei. Boom! The sky-piercer halberd in Meng Ao's hand broke from the middle with a cracking sound. The baleful aura that filled the sky was swept away. His chest was struck by He Qing's fist. His entire body flew back and suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Xiongfei's cultivation was weaker than Meng Ao's, and the huge light sword in the void was directly pecked by the red-crowned crane. In the light that filled the sky, Lu Xiongfei was also struck by lightning. He spat out a mouthful of blood and fell from the void. Go to hell. He Qing's eyes revealed a trace of burning killing intent. He pointed his finger in the air, and a bright light shot toward Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei. He wanted to completely kill Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei. He wanted to let everyone know that this was the fate of those who dared to offend the Wanshou sect. Old thing, how dare you? A voice filled with rage rang out, and Ling Xiao's body bloomed with brilliance, like a flame burning fiercely. Roar! The dragon's roar shook the 9 heavens. Ling Xiao's eyes were as cold as iron, and his killing intent was strong. He flew through the sky, and his body was surrounded by 5-colored divine light, and he threw a punch at He Qing. Boom! He Qing's finger touched Ling Xiao's arm, and suddenly a bloody mist filled the air. A bloody hole appeared on Ling Xiao's arm, but Ling Xiao did not even frown. The divine light that filled the sky exploded, and Ling Xiao moved freely in the void, bringing Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei back safely. Little bastard, you can't even protect yourself, and you still want to save people? Today, none of you can escape, and all of you will die. He Qing was expressionless, and he stood in the air, but the coldness and killing intent in his voice made people shudder. Looks like I have no choice but to take that step. Ling Xiao's eyes revealed a trace of madness. In an instant, the 5-colored brilliance under his feet was unparalleled, and it blended into the depths of the earth, and was about to take action. Who dares to touch the Holy Sun? Whoever dares to touch him must die. Suddenly, a domineering voice exploded in the void. Chapter 185. That sword radiance was as bright as the sun, exuding a vast heavenly might. It was mysterious and bright, crossing the 9 heavens and covering the radiance of the sun. The sword radiance was dazzling and contained a peerless sharpness, as if it could pierce through everything. It was extremely fast. Everyone's eyes were filled with whiteness. They could only vaguely see a figure in the middle of the sea of swords, flying towards He Qing with a violent and powerful aura. Who is it? He Qing's expression changed greatly. He did not dare to be careless in the face of such a peerless sword. He instantly formed a seal with his hands, and the red-crowned crane behind him seemed to condense from an inexplicable spacetime in an instant. It let out a sharp cry and pecked across the sky. Clang! Boom! There was a sound of metal colliding, followed by an explosion. Endless divine light covered the sky, and the peerless sword radiance smashed the red-crowned crane into pieces in the void, enveloping He Qing. Boom! The two figures separated in the void, standing in the air, exuding a terrifying aura. He Qing's face was extremely ugly. Although the previous attack seemed to be on par, the robe on his body was tattered, and there was even a bloody wound on his arm. Blood flowed out, faintly exuding a peerless sword essence. Who are you? Why are you interfering in the affairs of our Wanshou sect? He Qing stared at the figure in front of him, and his voice was a little cold. The figure opposite him was a middle-aged man in his 30s. He wore a white robe, and his face was handsome. Especially his eyes, which were brighter than the stars, as if there were 2 peerless divine swords hidden in them, making people not dare to look directly at him. Sanju Elder? It's him! Someone exclaimed when he recognized the identity of the figure. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Isn't he at LV9 of the Grandmaster realm? How can he break through to the celestial realm? I almost couldn't recognize him. Is this still the carefree and unrestrained old man 3 extremes? This peerless sword essence is too terrifying. Have you forgotten? 30 years ago, Sanju Elder was not called Sanju Elder, but Sky Sword Li Ling. It was only because he couldn't break through his cultivation that he indulged in wine and alchemy. But now that I see him, I feel that Sky Sword Li Ling is back. Heavenly Sword Li Ling, a celestial being at the 9th level of the Grandmaster realm? Now that he has broken through to the celestial tier, how terrifying would he be? How strange. I've never heard of the Li family having any relationship with the Demon King's mansion. Why would Sky Sword Li Ling help Ling Xiao? Everyone was discussing animatedly. They were all extremely excited. The peerless genius from 30 years ago, the one known as the Heavenly Sword, had returned. Li Ling stood in the air. Rays of sword light gathered around his body. They were as vast as the ocean and emitted a terrifying fluctuation that shook the heavens and the earth. His gaze was sharp, as if he didn't hear He Qing's question or the crowd's discussion. His gaze turned to Ling Xiao, and only then did his gaze soften. Saint, Li Ling is late. Li Ling cupped his hands and said solemnly. Ling Xiao smiled lightly and said, Elder Li, you've finally come. If you still didn't come, then I would really be unable to defeat this old fellow. Don't worry, Saint. With me around, no one can touch you. Li Ling's eyes flashed as he stared at He Qing and said indifferently. Everyone was stunned. Saint? Elderly? Wasn't Sky Sword Li Ling from the Li family in the capital city? When did he become an elder of the sect that Ling Xiao was in? The Li family in the capital city was a noble family. They held a high position in the Great Desolation ancient country and were extremely powerful. They were much stronger than a small sect like the Changsun sect. How could Sky Sword Li Ling be willing to become an elder of the Changsun sect? Including the 9th Prince Xia Yunran, Chen Weishan, Ling Qingqing, and even Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei couldn't understand. You're the three absolutes, old man, Li Ling. I've heard of you. Everyone said that you won't be able to break through to the celestial tier in 30 years. It seems that the rumors are wrong. Li Ling, you have to think carefully. This is a grudge between the Wan Shou sect and Ling Xiao. Is your Li family sure you want to get involved in this? He Qing looked coldly at Li Ling and said indifferently. Although Li Ling's cultivation base was only at the first level of the sky human realm, which was a few levels lower than He Qing felt a strong sense of threat from Li Ling for some reason. I, Li Ling, am a guardian elder of the Changsun sect. I have nothing to do with the Li family. Ling Xiao is the saint of the Changsun sect. Elder He, if you want to kill Ling Xiao, you have to ask the sky extinction sword in my hand first. Li Ling's eyes were indifferent. He wasn't intimidated by the name of the Wan Shou sect. Good, very good. Since that's the case, let me see if the so-called Sky Sword Li Ling is worthy of his name. He Qing's eyes flashed and his voice became extremely cold. A strong aura spread around him. The powerful cultivation of the celestial tier was completely unleashed. Like a tsunami, it pressed down on Li Ling. Li Ling's eyes flashed with a sharp sword radiance. The sky extinction sword in his hand was swallowing sword radiance and vibrating in the void. An incomparably pure sword Dao mystery was emitted from Li Ling's body and shot into the sky. A great battle between the celestial tiers was about to break out. If the battle between the celestial tier powerhouses broke out, the entire Demon King's mansion would be razed to the ground. The surrounding people no longer had the intention to watch the battle. Their eyes were filled with fear. Elder He, please quell your anger. At that moment, an old voice was heard. Two old men in black robes flew over from afar. One of them had white hair and a hale and hearty face. It was Master Jiao Mu. The other one had white hair and a youthful complexion. He had a sage-like demeanor, but his face was like that of a teenager. However, his eyes revealed the vicissitudes of life and wisdom. He held a purple gold horsetail whisk in his hand. His black robes fluttered in the wind. A golden cauldron and 7 golden stars were embroidered on his chest. High-grade alchemy master. It's spiritual master Chun Yang and master Jiao Mu. Some people trembled and revealed a trace of shock in their eyes. Spiritual master Chun Yang was a high-grade alchemy master and the owner of the spiritual medicine pavilion. He was one of the 2 high-grade alchemy masters in the entire Great Desolation ancient kingdom. His cultivation was unfathomable. Master Jiao Mu was a rising star in the royal capital's alchemy world. The 5 profound spiritual pills, 6 profound spiritual pills, and 7 profound treasure pills that he refined caused an uproar in the royal capital. Unexpectedly, Master Jiao Mu had also advanced to a mid-grade alchemy master. Everyone looked at the golden cauldron and 6 golden stars on Master Jiao Mu's chest with shock in their eyes. Chapter 186. He Qing's eyes flashed. Not only was spiritual master Chun Yang an upper-grade alchemist, but his cultivation was also very high. He was a famous expert in the capital. Moreover, spiritual master Chun Yang was extremely famous in the entire 8 Desolates region. The Wan Shou sect also treated him as an important guest. As for Master Jiao Mu, He Qing was extremely envious of the 5 profound spirit pill, 6 profound spirit pill, and 7 profound treasure pill recipes in his hands. If he could obtain them, the Wan Shou sect's strength would definitely increase greatly. So it's spiritual Master Chun Yang and Master Jiao Mu. May I know why the two of you are here? He Qing squeezed out a smile on his face. At the same time, he had a bad feeling in his heart. Could Ling Shao really be so powerful that he could invite the two of them? Elder He, I'm here today for our young friend Ling Shao. Ling Shao and this old man have some connections. I wonder if Elder He can give me some face. Spiritual Master Chun Yang smiled. Elder He, young Master Ling has done me a great favor. If Elder He can let bygones be bygones, this old man will definitely repay you generously. Master Jiao Mu said seriously. No matter what, He Qing had the Wan Shou sect behind him. Even the king of the great wilderness did not dare to offend them. Therefore, spiritual Master Chun Yang and Master Jiao Mu were very polite. He Qing pondered for a moment. Spiritual Master Chun Yang was an upper-grade alchemist. There were only a few of them in the entire 8 Desolates region. His status was extremely high, and his cultivation was also very strong. He Qing had to take his plea seriously. As for Master Jiao Mu, the reward he mentioned would definitely be very heavy. He Qing especially coveted the 5 profound spirit pill, 6 profound spirit pill, and 7 profound treasure pill recipes. Both of them were pleading for Ling Shao. No matter how strong He Qing's killing intent was, he could not help but hesitate. Everyone was looking at He Qing, waiting for his decision. Spiritual Master Chun Yang, Master Jiao Mu. I must give face to the two of you. However, Ling Shao killed a disciple of the Wan Shou sect. If I don't kill him, how can I explain it to the sect? He Qing said calmly. Both spiritual Master Chun Yang and Master Jiao Mu frowned slightly. However, the Wan Shou sect is not willing to bully the weak. He Qing's tone changed. Oh. What does Elder He mean by that? Sage Pure Yang's eyes flashed as he said with a smile. What do you think? Ling Shao killed a disciple of our Wan Shou sect, he should be executed immediately. But, for the sake of Taoist Pure Yang and Master Jiao Mu, I'm willing to give him a chance. 1 month from now, a disciple of our Wan Shou sect will come to the Great Desolation ancient country. At that time, we will have a battle between him and Ling Shao. If Ling Shao wins, he will live. If you lose, you die. He Qing said indifferently. He Qing said this out of his own considerations. In today's situation, Heavenly Sword Li Ling, Pure Sun's spiritual master, and Master Jiao Mu had appeared one after another. With so many people protecting Ling Shao, there was no way he could kill Ling Shao. Moreover, the commotion here was so big that it might even alarm that person in the palace. After all, the Grand Desolation ancient country was the territory of the Sun Moon Star sect. They had always been wary of the Myriad Beasts sect. If He Qing insisted on making a move, not only would he fail to kill Ling Shao, but he might even leave a weakness for the Sun Moon Star sect to use against him. He Qing had already seen Ling Xiao's true battle prowess, and the reason why he had set the 1-month agreement was because he had already seen through Ling Xiao's true battle prowess. Although this monster's combat strength was extremely strong, it was obvious that he had used a secret technique with extremely strong explosive power. It was not his true strength. Even if Ling Xiao was slightly stronger than Shi Tianluo, it was not by much. Shi Tianluo was ranked last among the Myriad Beasts 7. At that time, any one of the Myriad Beasts 7 would be able to kill Ling Xiao. 1 month from now, Ling Xiao will have a battle with a disciple of the Myriad Beasts sect. Elder He, the Myriad Beasts sect is a holy land of martial arts. If they send out a Sky Realm expert, I'm afraid Ling Xiao will still be dead for sure, right? Pure Sun's spiritual master frowned slightly. He also understood He Qing's plan. That's right. Elder He, young Master Ling is only in the Dragon Tiger realm. If you want a fair battle, your myriad beasts sect should send a disciple in the dragon tiger realm. Otherwise, what's the difference between this battle and your battle today? Master Jiamu's eyes turned cold. He Qing's intentions were sinister. On the surface, he seemed to be giving face to Pure Sun's spiritual master and him, but in reality, he still wanted to kill Ling Xiao. Pure Sun's spiritual master, Master Jiamu, even Shi Tianluo was defeated by Ling Xiao. How can he be treated as a mere dragon tiger realm expert? But don't worry, the disciples sent by my myriad beasts sect won't be too far apart from him in age. As long as Ling Xiao wins, I'll do what I say and won't pursue the matter from now on. He Qing said with a faint smile. Pure Sun's spiritual master and Master Jiamu were still a little hesitant, but Ling Xiao sneered and said, "All right, I agree." Ling Xiao's eyes were cold. In his heart, the moment Zhang Kai died, he had already made up his mind. The myriad beasts sect must pay the price. However, his cultivation was still too low, and he still needed to accumulate strength. A month's time might be short for others, but for Ling Xiao, it was enough. If the myriad beasts sect really thought that they could kill Ling Xiao in a month's time, Ling Xiao believed that he would give them a big surprise. However, I want a death match in a month's time. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed sharply as he stared at He Qing. A death match? No. Master Jiamu was stunned and quickly said. Even Li Ling's eyes revealed a trace of a bitter smile. Ling Xiao's combat strength was strong beyond their imagination, but if a martial holy land like the myriad beasts sect really sent a powerful true disciple, Ling Xiao would definitely be no match for him. If it was a normal duel, even if Ling Xiao lost, there was still a possibility of turning the situation around. However, if it was a death match, Ling Xiao would be in real danger. Elder He, is the myriad beast sect afraid? Ling Xiao gave Master Jiamu and Li Ling a comforting look, then turned to He Qing and sneered. Afraid? What a joke! He Qing sneered, his eyes incomparably cold. All right. Ling Xiao, since you want a death match, I'll fulfill your wish. I hope you can still say that in a month's time. All right. I hope the myriad beasts sect will do what they say. Don't be like today, jumping out after beating the young. Ling Xiao sneered, his eyes full of ridicule. What a sharp-tongued brat. Let's wait and see. He Qing's eyes were cold, and he took a deep breath to suppress the anger in his heart. With a wave of his sleeve, he hurriedly left with the disciples of the myriad beasts sect. Ling Xiao stared at Shi Tianluo, who was being supported by the disciples of the myriad beasts sect, and a murderous look flashed across his eyes. He would let Shi Tianluo live today, but one day, he would pay for old Zhang's life. Ling Xiao thought to himself. Chapter 187. A trace of fear appeared in Ling Yunxiang's eyes. Ling Xiao's combat strength was extremely strong. He was able to suppress Sky Snake Descent, a Tian-level martial art. Ling Yunxiang felt that even if he faced Ling Xiao, he would not have much chance of winning. More importantly, Ling Xiao had Sky Sword Li Ling, Master Jiao Mu, and Spiritual Master Chen Yang behind him. Any one of these three people could cause the entire capital to tremble with a stomp of their feet. Ling Yunxiang was nothing in front of these people. Ling Yunxiang knew that he and Ling Xiao would not rest until one of them was dead. Now that Ling Xiao had risen to power, even the Wanshou sect could not do anything to him. Ling Xiao would definitely not let him go. Thinking of this, Ling Yunxiang's heart was filled with unwillingness and regret. He regretted not getting rid of Ling Xiao earlier. At the same time, his heart was filled with uncontrollable fear. When Ling Yunxiang looked at the people on the stone steps, including the ninth prince, Xia Yunran, Chen Weishan, and the rest, they all hurriedly avoided his gaze. What a joke! Ling Xiao was now the most monstrous genius in the Great Desolation Ancient Kingdom. Even the 5 princes of the capital paled in comparison to him. Even the Wanshou sect could not do anything to Ling Xiao, so why would they offend Ling Xiao for Ling Yunxiang? Ling Xiao, if you want to kill me, do as you please. I will wait for you below. 1 month later, you will die at the hands of the Wanshou sect. Ling Yunxiang knew that he was going to die, so he simply sneered. Cough cough. Ling Yunxiang, are you still not admitting your guilt? If not for His Highness, what would the Ling family be? Where would you get the resources to cultivate? His Highness treated you well, but how did you treat his only flesh and blood? 3 years ago, when His Highness had just left, you couldn't wait to send young master to Changxing sect. Moreover, you sent people to assassinate him time and time again. If it wasn't for me secretly taking care of him, young master would have died in your hands. And this time, you actually went crazy enough to order people from the underworld to kill the young master? Ling Yunxiang, you deserve to die. Kneel down and admit your guilt. Lu Xiongfei coughed violently and struggled to walk over. He pointed at Ling Yunxiang and said coldly. As for the people from the Ling family, after hearing Lu Xiongfei's words, they all revealed extremely ashamed expressions. That's right, the entire Ling family had received great benefits because of Demon King Ling Zhen, but when they became strong, they forgot everything. So what if Ling Xiao was trash? After all, he was the flesh and blood of the Demon King and was destined to inherit the Demon King's title. As for Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi, they coveted the title of Demon Lord and even tried to harm Ling Xiao time and time again. It was tantamount to biting the hand that fed them and biting the hand that fed them. And all of the Ling family clansmen had become their accomplices. Confess? Ling Xiao was just a piece of trash who couldn't even cultivate. If he inherits the title of Demon Lord, my Ling family will definitely be destroyed in his hands. Although I have my own selfish motives, it's all for the sake of the Ling family's future. I, Ling Yunxiang, don't regret it at all. I only hate that I didn't get rid of this little bastard earlier and caused this disaster. Ling Yunxiang sneered as he stared at Ling Xiao. His eyes were filled with killing intent, as if he was a ferocious beast that was about to devour its prey. How dare you insult the saint? You're courting death. A cold light flashed in Li Ling's eyes as he slapped over. Smack. An expert of the celestial realm was not someone that Ling Yunxiang could contend with at all. A crisp sound rang out in the void, and Ling Yunxiang groaned as he was sent flying by Li Ling over 100 feet away. All of you, aiding the evildoer, deserve to die too. Li Ling's eyes flashed fiercely as a peerless sword intent filled the air, containing an unparalleled sharpness. Instantly, the Ling family clansmen's legs went soft and they almost knelt down. The pressure of a celestial realm powerhouse was not something that they could contend with. All of their faces were pale as they revealed an expression of extreme fear. Young master, we were wrong. It was Ling Yunxiang, that old thing, who threatened us. We didn't want to go against the young master, please understand. Yes, young master. Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi deserve to die. We were all deceived by them. Young master, please calm down. We were wrong. The Ling family clansmen seemed to feel threatened as they knelt down towards Ling Xiao and shouted loudly. A few of them spoke with sincerity and even shed tears of regret. Young master, how should we deal with Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi? Lu Xiongfei looked at Ling Xiao and asked. Cripple their cultivation and keep a close watch on them. Ling Xiao said indifferently. Now, Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi were just fish on the chopping board to him. They could be killed at any time. The reason why he spared their lives was that Ling Xiao wanted to find some clues about the netherworld from Ling Yunxiang. Yes. Lu Xiongfei said respectfully. Under the suppression of Sky Sword Ling Yunxiang had no chance to resist at all. In an instant, his qi was broken and all the meridians in his body were broken, turning him into a cripple. Especially Ling Tianxi, who was still in a coma. After his cultivation was crippled, he instantly woke up with a miserable howl. Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi's eyes were filled with despair and resentment. They were immediately guarded by Meng Ao's subordinates. When the Ling family saw the fate of Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi, they all shuddered and their eyes were filled with fear. However, Ling Xiao did not pay attention to them as he looked at the training field in the distance. From there were actually several powerful auras coming over quickly, arriving in front of Ling Xiao very quickly. They were a few palace eunuchs wearing brocade robes. Their faces were fair and clean, and they exuded a cold aura. Ling Xiao, receive the decree. The leader of the eunuchs shouted in a high-pitched voice as he looked at Ling Xiao with a flattering smile. Read it. Ling Xiao said indifferently. He stood there without any intention of bowing. What a joke. If it were not for the fact that he had taken over this body and had a convenient father, Ling Xiao would not want to be the demon king. He had already guessed the intentions of these eunuchs, so he was not surprised. Although the leader of the eunuchs was infuriated by Ling Xiao's rudeness, he did not dare to show it. He could only slowly open the golden imperial decree and start reading it. By the will of the heavens, the desolate king decrees, the son of the demon king, Ling Xiao, has unparalleled talent. His virtue matches his talent. He illuminates the sun and moon. He is a humble gentleman. He is specially conferred the title of Demon King. As expected, it was the imperial decree conferring Ling Xiao the title of Demon King. Everyone in the martial arts practice field was shocked. They didn't expect that the king in the palace would receive the news so quickly and respond by directly conferring Ling Xiao the title of Demon King Jinyao. Chapter 188. Congratulations, Demon Lord Zhen. Demon Lord Zhen's talent is unparalleled, and he has both integrity and talent. He will definitely be a pillar of the great barren ancient kingdom in the future. Demon Lord Zhen is a man of striking appearance. My daughter is only 16 years old and is still waiting to be betrothed. Demon Lord Zhen, don't listen to Lord Hu's nonsense. His daughter is extremely ugly. My daughter is as beautiful as a flower. She is a perfect match for Lord Zhen. Everyone stood up and saluted Ling Xiao with their fists cupped together. Their faces were filled with fake, flattering smiles. Some even started to have designs on Ling Xiao. However, these were the heads of the small families. The heads of the large families, the 9th Prince Xia Yunran, Chen Weishan, and the others all remained silent. They all knew that although Ling Xiao had become the demon Lord Zhen, it was still unknown how long he would be able to sit on the throne. After all, there was still a battle to the death in a month's time. Almost no one was optimistic about Ling Xiao's chances in this battle. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and ignored those flattering people. After he received the imperial edict, the eunuch smiled flatteringly and said a few words of congratulations before turning to leave the demon Lord Zhen manor. Ling Xiao's gaze was calm and indifferent, but there was a hint of sharpness in it. He scanned the crowd. Those who were invited to watch the ceremony all smiled at Ling Xiao, and some even revealed flattering smiles. The people of the Ling family did not dare to look at Ling Xiao directly. They all averted their eyes with a trace of fear in their eyes. At this moment, Ling Xiao was the new demon Lord Zhen Manor's new master. Everything that happened today was undoubtedly shocking. From Ling Tianxi's display of his powerful talent to Ling Zhao's appearance, Xia Hongxiu's annulment of the engagement, Ling Zhao's suppression of Ling Tianxi, and the Wanshou sect's arrival to denounce him. This series of events was too much for the eyes to take in. In the end, Ling Xiao became the most dazzling genius in the entire royal capital. With the cultivation of the Dragon Tiger realm, he suppressed Shi Tianluo, one of the 7 disciples of the Wanshou sect. This battle strength was simply shocking. However, at the same time, everyone was worried. Facing the Wanshou sect, a holy land of martial arts, how would Ling Xiao face the battle in a month's time? The Wanshou sect's strength was without a doubt. Although Ling Xiao was a genius, he was still young and his cultivation was not high. Everyone suddenly remembered that Ling Xiao was only 16 years old this year. At the age of 16, his brilliance had already illuminated the entire Great Desolation ancient kingdom, making the 5 princes of the royal capital pale in comparison. In the future, he would definitely illuminate the entire 8 Desolation region and become the king of this generation. Everyone took their leave one after another, and the Ling family's martial arts practice field soon became empty. A wave of fragrance wafted over, causing Qingqing's green dress to appear. Her figure was fiery hot, making one's blood boil. She had an exceptional appearance, and her large eyes were bright and resplendent, as if they could drip water from them. Her beautiful eyes glowed as she stared at Ling Xiao and smiled. "Little brother, do you still recognize me?" Ling Xiao was slightly stunned. Seeing that Ling Qingqing's face was very familiar, he remembered that this little witch in front of him had bullied Ling Xiao a lot in the past and was very familiar with him. Because the relationship between the demon monarch and the state preceptor, Ling Juechen, was very good, the two families frequently visited each other, and Ling Qingqing often brought Ling Xiao to play. Especially when it was confirmed that Ling Xiao's veins were blocked, and he was unable to cultivate. When everyone distanced themselves from Ling Xiao, only Ling Qingqing stayed by his side. Moreover, she would often beat up those who bullied Ling Xiao, earning herself the title of Little Witch. 3 years had passed, and the two of them had grown up. Ling Xiao could still faintly see the shadow of that little witch from back then in Ling Qingqing's stunning appearance. "So it's Sister Qingqing, little brother greets you." Ling Xiao smiled. From Ling Xiao's memories, he felt that Ling Qingqing was one of the few people who brought him much warmth. At least you have a conscience and didn't forget me." Ling Qingqing's tender fist punched Ling Xiao's shoulder, and she immediately grinned. Her smile had a soul-stirring beauty that made the heavens and earth lose their color. "Sister, you didn't come to participate in the end-of-year competition today to see me, right?" Ling Xiao smiled and joked. "You're still as shameless as before." Ling Qingqing rolled her eyes and said, 3 years ago, you went to the longevity sect, and I thought I would never see you again. I didn't expect you to come back today. You really gave me a shock. If Uncle Ling knew of your elegance today, I don't know how happy he would be. However, you're still too impulsive in the death match a month later." Ling Qingqing glared at Ling Xiao with dissatisfaction, and there was a faint hint of worry in her eyes. The Myriad Beasts sect is one of the 5 great martial holy lands, and the Myriad Beasts 7 scions are the strongest of the younger generation in the Myriad Beasts sect. They're very powerful. Although you defeated Shi Tianluo, he's only the weakest one. The top few of the Myriad Beasts 7 scions can easily crush him. Especially the number 1 of the Myriad Beasts 7 scions, the Dragon Son. He's known as the supreme youth with unparalleled talent, unparalleled combat strength, and unparalleled fortune. If he comes, you'll definitely lose. Ling Xiao smiled and said, "Dragon Son. Sister, aren't you overestimating others and undermining your own prestige? I really want to meet this Dragon Son. You don't know the immensity of heaven and earth. When you meet the Dragon Son, you'll know how terrifying he is. I'll go back and beg Father now and get him to refine some treasured pills for you to raise your cultivation. I hope your cultivation can increase a little as soon as possible. Then, I'll get Father to beg His Majesty. You'll be fine after a month, don't worry. You've liked to cause trouble since you were young, and now that you've grown up, you still need Sister to clean up your mess. Alright, I'm leaving." Ling Qingqing glared at Ling Xiao, then turned and floated away. As for the 9th prince, Xia Yunran, Chen Weishan, and the rest, they had no intention of saying goodbye to Ling Xiao and left the Demon King's residence indifferently. In their eyes, Ling Xiao would definitely die after a month. There was no need to waste any more effort. Young friend Ling not only has exceptional talent in the martial Dao, but he also has great attainments in the alchemy Dao. If you have time, you can come visit my elixir pavilion more often. This old man is eager to spar with you in the alchemy Dao. Spiritual Master Chunyang and Master Jiaomu walked over and smiled at Ling Xiao. The young man in front of him also surprised him. The young Master Ling that Jiaomu spoke of was indeed not an ordinary person. In particular, Jiaomu also said that the 5 profound spiritual pills, 6 profound spiritual pills, and 7 profound spiritual pills were all provided by Ling Xiao. This shocked him even more. Many thanks to spiritual master for helping me out. If I have time, I'll definitely visit you. Ling Xiao smiled. He was also a little surprised that spiritual master Chunyang could come, but this was definitely due to Jiao Mu's efforts. Spiritual master Chunyang and Ling Xiao exchanged some pleasantries and floated away. Jiao Mu and Ling Xiao looked at each other and smiled. There were too many people at this time, so Jiao Mu didn't say anything. Instead, he led everyone to take care of Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei. The two of them had suffered heavy injuries because of blocking Yiqing. At this moment, they were protected by the armored soldiers of Huban camp. Just as Ling Xiao was about to leave, an old voice sounded. "Young Master Ling, my master invites you." Chapter 189. Your master. I don't think that's necessary. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he spoke plainly. He recognized that the old man was the driver of Xia Hongxiu's carriage. However, his cultivation was unfathomable. He was a celestial realm expert. However, Ling Xiao thought that there was no need to see Xia Hongxiu. The old man smiled and said, "Young Master Ling, my master is not Princess Hongxiu. She is a disciple of Sun Moon Star's sect." Oh. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he looked at the luxurious carriage. He felt that there was another person in the carriage other than Xia Hongxiu. His aura was the same as the one Ling Xiao had seen at the city gate. All right. Ling Xiao pondered for a moment before nodding in agreement. Sun Moon Star's sect had a deep relationship with Ling Xiao. The person in the carriage was a celestial realm expert. Even in Sun Moon Star's sect, he was probably a prodisciple since he was a celestial realm expert. "Young Master Ling, please," the old man said with a smile as he led Ling Xiao to the carriage. Xia Hongxiu came out of the carriage and looked at Ling Xiao with a complicated expression. She said, "Go in. Senior sister wants to see you." Now, Xia Hongxiu knew that it was impossible between her and Ling Xiao. The so-called engagement only existed in name, but for some reason, she felt an inexplicable sense of panic in her heart. She felt a sense of loss and disappointment. Ling Xiao nodded plainly and walked into the carriage. Behind the curtains, there was a fragrant wind that emitted the fragrance of a young lady. A pair of bright eyes appeared in front of Ling Xiao. It was a pair of cold eyes without any emotions. They were like the full moon in the 9 heavens. Although it could be seen, it gave off a feeling that it was unapproachable. The moon goddess was shrouded in a cold radiance. Her face couldn't be seen clearly, but she had an otherworldly temperament. "You are like a cloud that covers the moon. You are like the snow that flows in the wind. Your skin is like jade and your bones are pure yin. Do you cultivate the true moon skill? It seems that the moon goddess of Sun Moon Star's sect is this generation's moon goddess." Ling Xiao had a strange look in his eyes. He glanced at the moon goddess and smiled. "Oh. How did young Master Ling know?" The moon god's eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Ling Xiao was able to see through her in one glance. This young man was becoming more and more difficult to see through. Furthermore, the premonition in her heart was getting stronger and stronger. Ling Xiao's aura was becoming more and more familiar to her. "It's nothing. It's just that I have some connections with the Sun Moon Star sect, so I know a little about your sect's martial arts." Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his eyes clear and bright. Moon God's presence was too cold, and her face was beautiful. Her eyes alone were enough to make the world lose its color. If ordinary people were to sit in front of her, they would not be able to be as calm as Ling Xiao. However, Ling Xiao was very calm. In his previous life, he had seen countless goddesses and geniuses. Although there weren't many who could compare to Yueshan, there were still some. Origin. The moon god's eyes lit up. She said, "If I may ask, Mr. Ling, how are you related to the Sun Moon Star sect?" To be exact, it's not that I'm related to the Sun Moon Star sect, but the Changsun sect is related to the Sun Moon Star sect. As the moon god of this generation, you should know about the relationship between the Changsun sect and the Sun Moon Star sect, right? Ling Xiao smiled, feeling a little emotional in his heart. The Sun Moon Star sect's ultimate technique was the Sun Moon Star scripture. It was divided into 3 ultimate techniques, namely the True Sun technique, the True Moon technique, and the True Star technique. It was further divided into the True Sun technique, the True Moon technique, and the True Star technique. It was further divided into the True Sun sect, the True Moon sect, and the True Star sect. The moon god in front of him had an extraordinary aura, and her cultivation had reached the heaven realm. Ling Xiao was full of admiration for her. Compared to the Sun Moon Star sect, the Changsun sect was still too weak. The relationship between the Changsun sect and the Sun Moon Star sect. The moon god was slightly taken aback. She said plainly, the Changsun sect was the martial arts holy land 10,000 years ago. They dominated the world and no one dared to disobey their orders. However, 10,000 years have passed and the world has changed. The Changsun sect has also weakened to a small sect. As for the Sun Moon Star sect, it belonged to the Changsun sect 10,000 years ago. At that time, we only received part of the inheritance of the sky-devouring supreme. Although we are much weaker now, we are still one of the martial arts holy lands in the 8 Desolates region. The moon god looked at Ling Xiao. Her cold gaze shone as if she wanted to see the depths of Ling Xiao's heart. However, what I don't understand is, the Changsun sect is so weak. How could there be a demon like you? If you are willing, I can recommend you to join the Sun Moon Star sect and become a true disciple of the Sun Moon Star sect. Only then will your talent not be wasted. The founder of the Sun Moon Star sect was called Shang Guanming. 10,000 years ago, he was a demon emperor expert. However, he was later subdued by Ling Xiao. He followed Ling Xiao and obtained the Sun Moon Star scripture from Ling Xiao. He then created the Sun Moon Star sect. Billions of years ago, the Sun Moon Star sect was a vassal sect of the Changsun sect. However, 10,000 years had passed and the Sun Moon Star sect was passed down. Looking at the moon god's true moon skill, most of it was complete. There were not many flaws. However, how could Ling Xiao join the Sun Moon Star sect? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Moon god, you must be joking. I am the saint of the Changsun sect. How could I join the Sun Moon Star sect? Moon god, don't underestimate the Changsun sect. One day, the Changsun sect will rise again and regain the glory from billions of years ago. We will stand at the top of the war god continent. Rise again. Easier said than done. The moon god smiled faintly. She did not agree or disagree. The Changsun sect's inheritance had been cut off. The inheritance of the sky-devouring supreme and the Changsun sect had been lost. It would be too difficult for them to rise again. In her opinion, Ling Xiao had the spirit of a young man. It was good that he wanted to forge ahead, but he did not know the immensity of heaven and earth. The moon god and Ling Xiao exchanged a few more pleasantries. Her eyes were filled with a faint light. It landed on Ling Xiao as she secretly probed. She wanted to find out what the familiar energy wave on Ling Xiao's body was. There were many things that she couldn't understand hidden in this youth's body. Moss. Young Master Ling, this is bad. Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi are both dead. Just as the two of them were talking, an old voice rang out, carrying with it a trace of anger. What? Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He hurriedly bade farewell to the moon god and jumped off the carriage. Outside, Master Jiao Mu was waiting. His face was very ugly, and his eyes were burning with anger. Chapter 190. What's going on? A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. Although Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi weren't important, Ling Yunxiang had some sort of relationship with the underworld. Ling Xiao was prepared to use Ling Yunxiang as a breakthrough point to find the underworld. However, Jiamu came to tell Ling Xiao that Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi were dead. Young Master Ling, it was the underworld. Jiamu's face was also a little ugly. He said slowly, just now, young Master Ling asked us to take care of Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi. We locked them in a room and let the armored soldiers of Huban camp guard them. Who knew that someone actually wanted to assassinate Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei? Fortunately, Li Ling was there, so the assassin didn't succeed. When Li Ling was chasing after the assassin, a member of the Ling family actually burst out with the battle strength of the Grandmaster realm and killed the guard, as well as Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi. When we arrived, the Ling family clansman had also taken poison and killed himself. We found this on his body. Master Jiamu handed a silver token to Ling Xiao. It was the unique token of the underworld's assassins. Luring the tiger away from the mountain. Good, very good. A cold light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes. How could he not see that the so-called assassination of Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei was just to lure Li Ling away? The real target was still Ling Yunxiang. What secrets did Ling Yunxiang have that made the underworld's assassins dare to kill in the Demon King's residence? However, with Ling Yunxiang's death, all of this became a mystery. Ling Xiao and Master Jiamu rushed to the room and saw Ling Yunxiang and Ling Tianxi with their eyes wide open, full of disbelief and anger. They died with remaining grievances. There was also a middle-aged man in a black robe lying in the room. His face was very ordinary, and Ling Xiao didn't recognize him. He might be a member of the Ling family. However, he didn't expect the underworld's assassins to infiltrate the Ling family. Good, very good. The underworld is openly provoking us. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed coldly. Previously, because of Ling Yunxiang, the underworld had already tried to assassinate Ling Xiao 5 times. In other words, as long as Ling Xiao could avoid 4 more assassinations, the underworld would have no choice but to call off the assassination. However, what Ling Xiao couldn't understand was why the underworld still wanted to make a move when Ling Yunxiang, the patron, was already dead. What was the relationship between Ling Yunxiang and the underworld? Not long after, Li Ling also returned, holding a golden token in his hand. The assassin who had assassinated Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei was a gold-ranked assassin, and he had already died at Li Ling's hands. However, when Li Ling heard what happened after he left, he became furious. Holy Sun, these rats hiding in the sewers are too abominable. Don't let me run into them, or I'll kill every single one of them. Li Ling said coldly. He was very annoyed. He never thought that he, a celestial tier elite, would fall for such a simple trick of luring the tiger away from the mountain. Let's put the matter of the underworld aside for now. Ling Xiao said slowly, right now, the underworld is in the dark while we are in the light. If the underworld wants to hide, we won't be able to find them. Right now, the only thing they could do was to remain silent and deal with whatever came their way. But what about hell? I will remember you, and there will be a day when I will make you pay the price. Jiao Mu also took a deep breath and nodded. Jiao Mu, when is the auction that you mentioned to me previously? Are you sure that the yin-yang spiritual seed will appear this time? Ling Xiao asked Master Jiao Mu. Master, the auction at the Great Wilderness Auction House is tomorrow. At that time, the yin-yang spiritual seed will appear. However, there is only one type, and I heard that it is the Grandine Divine Essence. Jiao Mu said respectfully. Grandine Divine Essence? The heavens are really helping me. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up, revealing a trace of surprise. The Grandine Divine Essence was a yin attribute treasure of high quality. Not only could it be used to refine Dao pills, but it could also be used to refine Dao weapons. It was even more magical for martial artists who cultivated yin attribute cultivation techniques. Most importantly, if Ling Xiao wanted to cultivate the second level of the heaven-devouring secret skill, he would need the yin-yang spiritual seed. Moreover, Ling Xiao's water dragon body had reached the complete realm. If he wanted to break through to the Earth Dragon body, he would need some precious treasures. Perhaps he could find them at the Great Wilderness Auction House. Ling Xiao's current cultivation level was still too low. His combat strength was only comparable to Shi Tianluo's. If he did not raise his cultivation level quickly, it would be extremely disadvantageous for him in the life and death duel a month later. The reason why Ling Xiao dared to propose the life and death duel was because he had made breakthroughs in the heaven-devouring secret skill and the ancestral dragon secret skill. As long as he could break through to the second level, his combat strength would skyrocket. The person behind the Grand Wilderness Auction House was the royal family of the Grand Wilderness. Therefore, they were extremely wealthy. Every time they held an auction, many precious treasures would appear. Every time, it would cause a sensation in the entire royal capital. Jiao Mu, try to get as many spiritual stones and spiritual crystals as possible. I must get the Grandine Divine Essence in tomorrow's auction. I must not let it fall into the hands of others. Ling Xiao looked at Jiao Mu and said. Master Jiao Mu smiled and said, Master, don't worry. I have already prepared the spiritual stones and spiritual crystals. I will definitely help you get the Grandine Divine Essence. As an alchemist, Grandmaster Jiao Mu was rich and overbearing. In addition, during this period of time, Grandmaster Jiao Mu had refined the 5 profound spirit pill, 6 profound spirit pill, and 7 profound treasure pill. The profits he had made were simply astronomical. Therefore, he did not lack spiritual stones and spiritual crystals. Next, Ling Xiao and Master Jiao Mu helped Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei heal their injuries. Although they had been severely injured by He Qing, fortunately, they did not suffer any fatal injuries. In addition, Ling Xiao's sky-devouring secret skill could devour heterogeneous genuine qi. Therefore, Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei's injuries quickly recovered. The Tiger Battalion had left, but Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei simply stayed in the Demon Lord Mansion. At the same time, they brought many elite warriors with them. Ling Xiao did not dare to trust any of the Ling family clansmen. Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei had brought people to watch over them strictly. Master Jiao Mu used the secret mind skill to screen the Ling family clansmen to see if there were any people from the netherworld. In addition, with Li Ling, a great expert in the celestial realm, the entire Demon Lord Mansion was impregnable. After the battle in the Demon Lord Mansion, especially after defeating Shi Tianluo, Ling Xiao's reputation spread throughout the royal capital as if it had grown wings. Suppressing Ling Tianxi, who was at LV1 of the Dragon Tiger realm, with a single punch, was already shocking enough. However, Ling Xiao defeating Shi Tianluo, who was at LV6 of the Grandmaster realm, with a cultivation at LV1 of the Dragon Tiger realm, made everyone feel like they were dreaming. They were dumbfounded and in disbelief. In particular, the young experts in the royal capital all thought that the rumors were too exaggerated. However, when someone discovered that Shi Tianluo was heavily injured and carried back to the inn, the Wanshou sect remained silent and did not have any intention of explaining. Ling Qingqing also personally confirmed that Shi Tianluo was indeed injured by Ling Xiao. Immediately, the entire royal capital began to boil. Chapter 191. A holy land of martial arts like the Wanshou sect had always been a place people looked up to. Any random disciple from there was a monstrous genius. Shi Tianluo was even more monstrous. It was said that he had the bloodline of the heavenly serpent and was one of the 7 disciples of the Wanshou sect. He was quite famous in the 8 Desolates region. Who would have thought that he would be defeated by a young man at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm? Some of the people in the royal capital were shocked, while others were excited. Especially those martial artists who had been bullied by the Wanshou sect, they all felt proud and elated. However, there were also some who were jealous and malicious. What's there to be arrogant about? No matter how strong Ling Xiao's cultivation is, he will definitely die in the life and death duel in a month's time. That's right. If the dragon son of the Wanshou sect comes, Ling Xiao will definitely die. Someone sneered, causing the crowd to fall silent. Ling Xiao was still too young. He had killed a disciple of the Wanshou sect, injured Shi Tianluo, and offended a holy land of martial arts like the Wanshou sect. The Wanshou sect would definitely not let him go. A month's time would probably be the day this young man would die. Even those who thought highly of Ling Xiao could not help but worry at this moment. How was Ling Xiao supposed to face this battle of life and death? In the inn of the Wanshou sect. Many disciples of the Wanshou sect were indignant, their eyes filled with coldness. Shi Tianluo had also woken up. However, he seemed to have suffered a huge blow. He sat there with a pale face and stared blankly at the void in the distance. He Qing sat high above, but his brows were tightly knitted. The atmosphere was extremely tense. Elder He, can't we just wait like this? Ling Xiao, that little bastard, deserves to die. I don't want him to live for even a moment. A female disciple with a charming face and a hot body said through gritted teeth. She looked at Shi Tianluo with admiration. Ling Xiao had defeated Shi Tianluo. Seeing that Shi Tianluo had suffered such a huge blow, she was also furious. Yes. Elder, why don't we take advantage of the night and slaughter that brat Ling Xiao? The disciples of the Wanshou sect were all filled with righteous indignation. No matter where the disciples of the Wanshou sect went, they were respected and revered, their status and honor were even higher than that of a prince. However, Ling Xiao had not only killed Shi Wuxin and defeated Shi Tianluo, he had even forced He Qing to compromise. All the disciples of the Wanshou sect felt extremely humiliated. How is that possible? He Qing sneered and said, killing my Wanshou sect's disciple is equivalent to slapping my Wanshou sect's face, this little bastard is simply courting death. However, even if we want to kill him, we can't do it ourselves. Right now, the capital is in a state of chaos. Before the sex experts arrive, we must keep a low profile and not leave any clues for others to use against us. However, just because we can't do it doesn't mean that we can't find someone else to do it. I will contact the underworld and tell them to kill Ling Xiao at all costs within this month. I want that little bastard to be tortured to death in fear. Alright, let those guys from the underworld deal with Ling Xiao. We must kill him. Kill Ling Xiao and avenge senior brother Wuxin. Many disciples of the Wanshou sect gritted their teeth and said. However, what they did not realize was that there was a black vortex surging in Shi Tianluo's eyes. It was cold and evil, as if it wanted to devour everything in the world. A ferocious aura slowly spread out from Shi Tianluo's body. Roar! A cold roar exploded, and a giant black snake seemed to appear behind Shi Tianluo. It was shrouded in a hazy chaotic aura. It roared in the sky, and its eyes were like blood moons, causing people to tremble in fear. At this moment, Shi Tianluo actually floated up and emitted a chilling aura that caused people's hearts to palpitate. This is, the aura of the heavenly snake bloodline completely awakened? Ha ha ha. Great, this is great. He Qing's eyes widened in shock, and then he revealed an expression of extreme joy. Although Shi Tianluo previously possessed the heavenly snake bloodline, the heavenly snake bloodline had not completely awakened, so the effect on Shi Tianluo was very small. He did not expect that after this blow, Shi Tianluo would actually completely awaken the heavenly snake bloodline. After awakening the heavenly snake bloodline, Shi Tianluo's aptitude had completely changed from being a demon to having the aptitude of a king. Regardless of whether it was cultivation or combat strength, it was greatly enhanced. If Shi Tianluo had completely awakened the heavenly snake bloodline previously, it would be hard to say who would have won the battle with Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao. Ling Xiao. Shi Tianluo's gaze was as cold as a venomous snake's as he muttered Ling Xiao's name. His voice was chilling and filled with bone-deep hatred and murderous intent. Ling Xiao was not aware of the storm in the capital, but even if he knew, he would not have cared. After a night of cultivation, some of the injuries in Ling Xiao's body had completely healed. His cultivation had also stopped at the peak of level 1 Dragon Tiger Realm, and he was only one step away from level 2 Dragon Tiger Realm. When the golden sunlight shone on the ground, Ling Xiao woke up from his cultivation state. Master Jiao Mu was already waiting outside. That was because today was the day of the auction at the Grand Baron Auction House. The Grand Baron Auction House would hold an auction every month, and at the end of every year, there would be a large-scale auction. At the auction, there would be countless treasures of heaven and earth, martial arts secret skills, spiritual pills, spiritual weapons, and so on. It was a carnival for all the big families in the capital. Every time it happened, the royal family of the Grand Baron Auction House would also make a fortune. Ling Xiao brought Master Jiao Mu out of the Demon Lord's residence. Bathed in the golden sunlight, they walked along the wide street and headed towards the Grand Baron Auction House. As for Ling Xiao had left him behind to protect Meng Ao and Lu Xiongfei. After all, their injuries had not healed, and there were people from the underworld spying on them. Ling Xiao was not at ease. With Ling around, there would be no danger. The Grand Baron Auction House was located on the west side of the capital, and the Demon Lord's residence was on the left and right respectively. They were the two biggest buildings closest to the capital. One could also see the importance of the Grand Baron Auction House from its location. The entrance of the Grand Baron Auction House looked very grand. There were 8 huge stone lions in 2 rows at the entrance. They looked very lifelike and emitted a murderous aura. Outside the door, there were dozens of tall and sturdy men wearing black heavy armor and holding large axes. Each of them was over 2 meters tall and had extremely powerful blood and qi. Their cold and sharp eyes swept across the crowd, causing everyone to tremble in fear. These dozens of burly men in black heavy armor were the elites of the royal guards. They were at least in the Dragon Tiger realm. With them around, no one dared to cause trouble at the Grand Baron Auction House. Therefore, the Grand Baron Auction House was also the most reputable and safest auction house. Naturally, it attracted the attention of countless people. Chapter 192. Ling Xiao. A crisp voice came from behind. Ling Xiao turned around and saw Ling Qingqing, who was smiling like a flower. Ling Qingqing had changed into a red dress today. Her skin was as white as jade, and her black hair was like a waterfall. It was thick and shiny. As she stood there, her appearance was exquisite, beautiful, and otherworldly. Her entire being emitted an otherworldly aura. Sister Qingqing, why are you here? Ling Xiao asked with a smile. Of course I'm here for today's auction. Ling Qingqing walked up to Ling Xiao. She was tall, with round and slender legs. Her breasts were high, and she exuded a faint virgin fragrance that made people blush. I heard that there will be many precious spiritual medicines at the Grand Wilderness Auction House today. I'm here on behalf of my father. Also, I heard that there will be a secret technique for cultivating spiritual force in this auction. This time, I must get it for father. Ling Qingqing lowered her voice, her eyes full of anticipation. If Lord Grand Tutor needed any spiritual medicine, the royal family of the Grand Wilderness would have sent it over long ago. Do you need to come to the auction personally? The secret skill to cultivate spiritual strength you mentioned, is it the minor soul refining technique? Ling Xiao's gaze was a little strange. He exchanged glances with Master Jiaomu, and they both held back their laughter. That was because Ling Xiao had asked Master Jiaomu to auction the minor soul refining technique. A secret skill to increase spiritual strength like the minor soul refining technique was rare even in the entire 8 Desolates region. Once those alchemists knew about it, they would definitely fight for it with all their might. Moreover, the minor soul refining technique could only increase the spiritual strength of an alchemist. It was not a great secret skill to Ling Xiao. He had taken it out for auction just in case. After all, the divine Yin essence was too precious. If it were an ordinary spiritual medicine, I wouldn't have to come personally. But many treasures at the Grand Wilderness Auction House are consigned by others. I heard that there will be a 3-leaf resurrection grass this time. This is one of the main ingredients for my father's resurrection elixir. I must get it. Ling Qingqing lowered her voice and said with a smile. The supreme grade resurrection elixir. It's said that it can help an expert at the 9th level of the sky human realm to break through the bottleneck and enter the noble realm. But is your father sure he can refine the resurrection elixir? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he asked in surprise. After all, Ling Juqian was only a high-grade alchemy grandmaster. If he wanted to refine a peerless grade treasure pill, it would be beyond his ability. Xiao, you also know that the miner's soul refining technique is going to be auctioned. That secret technique was the miner's soul refining art. And is the key to my father. Soul refining technique. Soul. The interior of the Grand Desolation auction house was a huge crystal hall. It had a circumference of over 1,000 feet and a height of over 100 feet. It was dazzling and magnificent. There were many booths in the crystal hall. Colorful spirit weapons, precious spirit herbs, and strange ores were displayed on the booths. Many people stopped in their tracks, attracted by the spirit weapons and elixirs. This is the outer area of the auction. Those who don't have the qualifications to enter the auction can sell things here. But most of the things here are junk. There are very few treasures. However, there are some people who have good foresight and found some precious treasures here. Ling Qingqing naturally became the guide and introduced the auction to Ling Xiao. Oh. So that's how it is. Ling Xiao nodded. From his point of view, many of the items on the display stand looked ancient and mottled, as if they were old objects from a long time ago. However, many of them had been disguised to deceive those spendthrifts. Those who didn't know anything would probably spend a large sum of money to buy some useless junk after being tricked by those people with flowery words. Ling Qingqing and Ling Xiao stood side by side. Master Jiaomu followed behind and walked around the hall. Ling Qingqing's peerless beauty quickly attracted the attention of the crowd. Many young people's gazes began to burn. Qingqing, it's you. At this moment, a handsome young man in a black robe with an outstanding temperament walked over. His eyes were filled with surprise. The young man was tall and slender. His black hair hung loosely behind his head. His face was handsome, but his eyes were somewhat gloomy. Moreover, there were traces of light flickering in them, making people feel uncomfortable. Qin Fengdao. Why are you here? Ling Qingqing frowned, and a trace of disgust appeared in her eyes. Qingqing, of course I'm here to participate in the auction. I didn't expect to see you here. That's great. Chen Fengdao walked toward Ling Qingqing. His eyes were filled with passion and adoration. Chen Fengdao. Could he be Chen Weishan's son, Chen Fengdao, one of the 5 young masters of the capital? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. The young man in front of him had an outstanding temperament and a tall figure. His cultivation had already reached the 2nd level of the Grandmaster realm. In the entire capital, the only person who could reach the Grandmaster realm at such a young age was probably Chen Fengdao. However, it seemed that Chen Fengdao was interested in Ling Qingqing. A trace of playfulness appeared in Ling Zhao's eyes. Young man, move aside. Chen Fengdao said plainly as he saw Ling Xiao standing beside Ling Qingqing. His eyes revealed a trace of gloominess. Ling Xiao glanced at Chen Fengdao indifferently. He didn't say anything, but he didn't move aside either. Young man, I asked you to move aside. Didn't you hear me? Chen Fengdao's eyes revealed a trace of coldness. The powerful aura of the Grandmaster realm suppressed Ling Xiao. Ling Zhao's face was handsome, and his temperament was otherworldly. His clothes were whiter than snow, and he looked very compatible with Ling Qingqing. However, Chen Fengdao was unhappy. Ling Xiao looked like a young man at the 1st level of the Dragon Tiger realm. What right did he have to stand beside Ling Qingqing? Ridiculous. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. His gaze was calm as he grabbed Ling Qingqing's hand. It felt soft and boneless, as gentle as jade. It had a touch that made one's heart flutter. Sister Qingqing, let's go. Ling Xiao pulled Ling Qingqing and was about to walk away. Ling Qingqing blushed slightly. She didn't say a word and followed Ling Xiao obediently. Young man, you're courting death. Ling Xiao's actions completely infuriated Qin Fengdao. Qin Fengdao's eyes revealed a trace of gloominess. He stretched out his hand to grab Ling Xiao. His fingers emitted a faint black light that was as sharp as a finger blade. If a person at the first level of the Dragon Tiger realm was caught by Qin Fengdao, not only would he be unable to break free, but he would also be in great pain. Chapter 193. Ling Xiao's expression didn't change when he felt the sharp wind behind him. However, there was a hint of mockery in his eyes. Clang! Ling Xiao's body emitted traces of golden light, and the sound of metal clashing rang out. Qin Fengdao felt as if he had grabbed onto a metal plate, and his expression instantly changed. Boom! Before Qin Fengdao could react, a surge of divine power came from Ling Xiao's body, causing Qin Fengdao's arm to go numb. He took a dozen steps back before he could stabilize himself. Who are you? Qin Fengdao's eyes were filled with both shock and anger. He felt the blood in his body churning, and his expression was extremely ugly. In that instant, Qin Fengdao felt as if he wasn't facing a human, but a primordial ferocious beast with monstrous blood. He couldn't help but feel his heart palpitate. Stay away from Sister Qingqing in the future. She doesn't like you. Ling Xiao glanced at Qin Fengdao indifferently. Perhaps in the eyes of others, the royal capital's 5 princes were the elites of the younger generation of the Great Desolation ancient kingdom, and their futures were limitless. However, in Ling Xiao's eyes, they were just so. Even Shi Tianluo was defeated by him, so what was the royal capital's 5 princes? You're Ling Xiao. Qin Fengdao's eyes suddenly trembled, as if he had thought of something. He revealed an extremely shocked expression. In the entire royal capital, Ling Xiao was the only one in the Dragon Tiger realm who could push him back so easily and was only 15 or 16 years old. Although it had only happened yesterday, Ling Xiao's name had already spread throughout the royal capital. Although Qin Fengdao wasn't present at the scene, he still knew Ling Xiao's name. This was a youth who could even suppress Shi Tianluo. No matter how talented Qin Fengdao was, he was still far from being comparable to Shi Tianluo. Qin Fengdao's heart was instantly filled with dread. Ling Xiao, don't be too arrogant. I have the freedom to like whoever I like. It's none of your business. Take care of yourself first. In a month, I'll be there and personally witness you being suppressed by the Wanshou sect. Qin Fengdao sneered and turned to leave. That bastard. Ling Xiao, you should teach him a good lesson. This caused Qingqing to stomp her feet in anger. This Qin Fengdao had always been arrogant and condescending. Now that he'd lost face at Ling Xiao's hands, he didn't lower his head and didn't forget to leave behind some harsh words before leaving. It doesn't matter, why lower yourself to his level? Since he said so, if I don't give him a surprise a month later, I'll be letting him down. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his expression calm. The most important thing for Ling Xiao to do now was to increase his own strength. Everything else was just a side issue that he didn't need to care about. Facing a colossus like the Wanshou sect, Ling Xiao felt no fear in his heart, only a strong desire to fight. Alright, he really got off easy. Ling Xiao, the auction is about to begin. Let's go in quickly. Ling Qingqing nodded and said. Alright. Ling Xiao followed Ling Qingqing to the auction site. However, when his gaze swept past one of the booths, his eyes lit up, and he stopped in his tracks. Sister Qingqing, wait for me. Ling Xiao walked towards the booths. The owner of the booths was a middle-aged man with shifty eyes. He looked very shrewd, and when he saw Ling Xiao coming over, he immediately became spirited and began to introduce the items eloquently. Young master, What I have here are all old objects. I found them in an ancient ruin. They were left behind by the Supreme Being experts during the ancient times. Look at this short sword, although it's rusty, if the seal can be removed, it'll be a powerful Taoist weapon. And this bead, it can expel inner demons, absorb the essence of heaven and earth, and help cultivators break through to the next realm. And this dagger. Ling Xiao's gaze swept across the items on the booths. There were broken swords, blades, ancient jade bottles, pill cauldrons, Buddha statues, and other old items. However, with Ling Xiao's eyes, he could tell at a glance that most of them had been modified later on. How much is this hairpin? Ling Xiao picked up a black hairpin on the booths. It was rusty, and he could vaguely make out the pattern of a phoenix. Young master, you have good eyes. This hairpin is a treasure that I found in the tomb of a supreme expert. It's at least a Taoist weapon, but there's a seal on it that I can't remove. So, I'll sell it to you at a cheaper price, 5,000, no, 50,000 peerless spirit stones. The shifty-eyed middle-aged man's eyes flashed as he hurriedly said with a smile. Zhang Yi, are you crazy for spirit stones? You actually dared to deceive this great aunt? Do you believe that I won't tear down your booths? Ling Qingqing ran over angrily and scolded the middle-aged man. Then, he glanced at Ling Xiao and said with a bitter smile, Ling Xiao, this Zhang Ye likes to rob tombs the most. He takes some ordinary old objects from tombs and sells them. He's very famous in the entire Grand Wasteland auction house. However, most of the things in his hands are very ordinary. Don't be fooled by him. As soon as Zhang Yi saw Ling Qingqing, he shrank back and cried out, Miss Qingqing, even if you don't want to buy it, you can't slander me. Who doesn't know my reputation? I've never had any fake items here, and they're all taken out from tombs. These are all genuine old items, and I only asked for 50,000 peerless spirit stones. If it's really a Taoist weapon, it's worth 100 or 1,000 times more. Sister Qingqing, it's fine. I'm just buying it for fun. Ling Xiao smiled, then glanced at Zhang Ye and said, Your hairpin looks very strange, but don't treat me like a fool. What do you think? Sell this hairpin to me and let me pick something from your booths. I'll give you 10,000 peerless spirit stones. What do you think? Zhang Ye's face immediately revealed a difficult expression. Young master, this hairpin of mine is really an old item. It's very likely that it's a Taoist weapon that's been sealed. 10,000 peerless spirit stones is too little. Why don't you add a little more? Zhang Yi, don't go too far. Ling Qingqing immediately frowned and pointed at Zhang Yi as she shouted. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Since you're so insincere, then forget it. Ling Xiao put down the hairpin and turned to leave. Zhang Yi panicked. Young master, don't go. Since you like this hairpin so much, I'll reluctantly part with it and sell it to you. You can pick any one of the items on this stage. Just treat it as me, old Zhang, making friends with you. Zhang Ye hurriedly stopped Ling Xiao and laughed bitterly. However, he was overjoyed. Everything on the booths was not even worth 10,000 peerless spirit stones. This young man was definitely a fool. He had struck it rich today. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He casually picked up a 3-inch tall bronze Buddha statue and said, This is it. All right, young master, I'll wrap it up for you. Zhang Ye glanced at the bronze Buddha statue and didn't think much of it. He wrapped it up and passed it to Zhang Ye. Grandmaster Jiaomu took it and passed it to Zhang Ye. Although Master Jiaomu was puzzled as to why Ling Xiao would spend 10,000 peerless spirit stones on 2 pieces of junk, he did not ask. He believed that no matter what his master did, he had a reason. Chapter 194. Ling Xiao's real target wasn't the hairpin, but the bronze Buddha statue. He didn't buy the bronze Buddha statue directly because he didn't want to stir up trouble. Hence, he took a step back and bought the 2 items for 10,000 peerless spirit stones. When he was in the ferocious beast mountain range, Ling Xiao killed an assassin from the underworld and obtained a mysterious animal skin map. Today, he actually felt the same aura from the bronze Buddha statue as that animal skin map. Although it was weak, the aura was exactly the same. Hence, Ling Xiao bought the bronze Buddha statue. Ling Xiao, do you have too many spirit stones to spend? This broken hairpin and bronze Buddha statue are worth at most 100 peerless spirit stones. How could you give Zhang Ye 10,000 peerless spirit stones? You must have been cheated. Ling Qingqing said indignantly as she walked. Sister Qingqing, you don't know this. I wasn't cheated. There's something special about this hairpin. Ling Xiao smiled faintly and said confidently. There's something special about it? This hairpin looks very ordinary. Why can't I see it? Ling Qingqing took the hairpin suspiciously and examined it carefully. She even injected her true energy into it, but there was no reaction at all. There are too many people here, so it's inconvenient. You'll know later, Sister Qingqing. Ling Xiao kept her in suspense and smiled faintly. At the back of the crystal hall, there were more than a dozen black-armored generals with sharp eyes. Each of them had a murderous aura and their eyes were like torches. When Ling Xiao and Ling Qingqing walked over, more than a dozen pairs of eyes landed on them. They were sharp and cold, and they only looked away after a while. After they checked the invitation letters in Ling Qingqing, Ling Xiao, and Grandmaster Jiaomu's hands, they let them in. The great wilderness auction house was heavily guarded. It was impossible for ordinary people to cause trouble here. The powerful deterrence of martial arts also won the great wilderness auction house a good reputation. The auction house was very spacious and could accommodate more than 1,000 people. There were more than a dozen private rooms at the top, which were specially reserved for distinguished people. Young Master Ling, we're in the 9th private room. Master Jiaomu said as he led Ling Xiao and Ling Qingqing into box 9. The walls of the box were made of transparent glass. From the box, one could clearly see the situation in the center of the auction hall. However, from the outside, one couldn't see the people inside the box. There were already 2 beautiful maids waiting at the door of the room. Both of them had delicate figures and exquisite curves. They wore thin gauze, and their snow-white skin was faintly discernible, causing one's imagination to run wild. The 2 maids welcomed Ling Xiao and the others in and knelt on the ground obediently. They poured tea and cut fruits for Ling Xiao and the others, revealing a hint of shyness as if they were waiting to be enjoyed. What? You like them? Ling Qingqing glanced at Ling Xiao with a faint smile. How is that possible? I was just lamenting the fact that the Grand Desolation auction house has such a huge background, but I didn't expect their service to be so good as well. Ling Xiao stared blankly for a moment before he put on a serious expression and refused to admit it. Humph. I don't think you have the guts to do so. All of you can leave. I don't need you to serve me here. Ling Qingqing waved her sleeves, and the 2 maids were momentarily stunned. There was some disappointment in their eyes, but they still obediently bowed and turned to leave. Ling Xiao and Master Jiaomu looked at each other and smiled bitterly. Why was Ling Qingqing being jealous? Ling Xiao, there's no one here now. Quickly tell me, what's with that hairpin? Ling Qingqing immediately smiled, and her eyes were filled with curiosity. Sister Qingqing, look. It's time to witness a miracle. Ling Xiao smiled and took out the hairpin. There was a flash of light in his palm, and immediately, a 5-colored flame rose up, blazing and bright. Boom! As the 5-colored flame burned, the mottled rust on the hairpin slowly began to melt, gradually revealing a scarlet glow. Buzz! The hairpin began to tremble slightly. When all the rust was peeled off, it immediately revealed a hairpin that was as red as jade and embroidered with the image of a phoenix. A faint scarlet glow lingered around it, and the phoenix seemed to come to life. The hairpin now looked completely different from before. It was crystal clear and dazzling, and there were traces of powerful spirituality emanating from it. This is a high-grade precious artifact. Feeling the aura emitted by the hairpin, Ling Qingqing's eyes suddenly shook, revealing a trace of disbelief. Ling Xiao, how did you do it? It's such a simple method. That Zhang Ye is the most cunning, but he didn't see through it. Ling Qingqing's face was full of surprise. Of course he didn't see through it. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. This hairpin was originally a powerful Taoist artifact, but after countless years, its spirituality has deteriorated and the spiritual inscriptions have been obliterated. Now, it only has the power of a high-grade precious artifact. There is indeed a seal on this hairpin that can only be unsealed with the power of the primordial fire of heaven and earth. Although Zhang Ye is very shrewd, he didn't know this, so he missed out on the treasure. If Zhang Ye knew that he had sold a high-grade precious artifact, he would be so angry that he would vomit 3 liters of blood. A high-grade precious artifact could only be fully unleashed by a master of the celestial being realm or even a master of the grandmaster realm. Its power was unparalleled. How could it be bought with a mere 10,000 spiritual stones? Zhang Ye thought that he had taken advantage of it, but the one who took advantage of it is you. Ling Qingqing sighed. Sister Qingqing, although this hairpin is only a high-grade Taoist artifact, it can gather the spiritual qi of heaven and earth to increase the speed of cultivation. Moreover, it can store the primordial fire of heaven and earth to unleash an attack comparable to a level 9 master of the grandmaster realm. It's just right for you. Ling Xiao smiled and approached Ling Qingqing. He stretched out his hand and inserted the hairpin into Ling Qingqing's hair. The fragrance of a young girl wafted into Ling Qingqing's nostrils. Ling Qingqing was stunned for a moment, and her face turned red instantly. Ling Xiao was very close to her, and she could feel the strong masculine aura from Ling Xiao's body. Her heart could not help but beat wildly. This hairpin is too valuable. I can't accept it. Ling Qingqing calmed herself down. Although she liked the hairpin very much, she still said it seriously. Elder sister Qing, with our relationship, what does a mere phoenix hairpin count for? Moreover, this is obviously a woman's item. If you don't want it, I'll give it to the maid outside. Ling Xiao smiled and said. You dare. Ling Qingqing raised her eyebrows and glared at Ling Xiao. Then she burst into laughter. All right, since little brother is so considerate, I'll accept it. In the future, if you get into any trouble in the capital, just mention my name. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.